Chapter 22. Mo Xiaobai raised his sword and slashed at the limestone, producing a series of clanging sounds. After a few minutes, a layer of 10 centimeters of gravel was cut off from the bluestone. However, what puzzled Mo Xiaobai was that even after cutting off more than 10 centimeters of gravel, nothing appeared from the bluestone. Could it be that it was not within the limestone? Mo Xiaobai frowned slightly and glanced at the red light above the bluestone. At this time, Mo Xiaobai discovered that the red light this time was slightly different from when he found the purple root grass. When he found the purple root grass, the red light went deep into the ground until it touched the purple root grass. But now, the red light was floating in the air and did not go deep into the limestone. What was going on? Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows, somewhat puzzled. There was nothing in the air. Mo Xiaobai had already touched it before. There was no special space like the void treasure. Then there was a problem. Since it was not in the air or in the limestone, what did the red light symbolize? As Mo Xiaobai pondered, the sky in the distance became darker and darker. He looked at the little orange-gold light in the sky and hesitated. Should he go back first and come back tomorrow? Otherwise, it would be too dangerous at night. Screech! Just as Mo Xiaobai was about to leave, a sharp screech came from the depths of the distant hills. Mo Xiaobai suddenly raised his head and looked in the direction of the screech. In the orange-gold sky, a huge figure flew out from behind the distant mountain peak. Mo Xiaobai's body tensed up and he gripped his sword tightly, looking at the figure in the distance with some vigilance. What was that? As the figure came closer, Mo Xiaobai finally saw what it was. He opened his eyes wide in disbelief. It was a gray-black giant eagle with a wingspan of more than 2 meters. Gray Stone Eagle. The elite-level magical beasts of the Gray Stone Hills were extremely strong. What surprised Mo Xiaobai the most was that the black stone eagle was holding a gray stone wolf that was no smaller than it in its sharp claws. This gray stone wolf was completely different from the ones Mo Xiaobai had encountered before. Its back, forehead, and even its limbs were covered in gray stone armor. His strength was obviously not something an ordinary gray stone wolf could compare to. An elite gray stone wolf. At this moment, the gray stone eagle's claws were holding the gray stone wolf, while the gray stone wolf's sharp claws were stuck in the gray stone eagle's neck. Its ferocious sharp teeth were biting the gray stone eagle's thigh. The two powerful elite magic beasts seemed to be in a deadlock. The gray stone eagle struggled to throw the gray stone wolf down, but because the gray stone wolf was biting its thigh, as long as it let go of its sharp claws, the gray stone wolf could bring it down with it. Mo Xiaobai could see that the gray stone eagle's flying posture had changed, and its flight path had become very disorderly. Screech! The gray stone eagle let out another screech, and Mo Xiaobai could hear the pain in its screech. As the gray stone eagle continued to fly closer, the strength of its wings became weaker and weaker. Finally, when the gray stone eagle flew close to Mo Xiaobai's head, its body twitched and its wings stopped flapping. It fell heavily from the sky. Thump! The bodies of the gray stone eagle and gray stone wolf fell in front of Mo Xiaobai. They landed on the bluestone that had a layer of broken stones cut off in front of Mo Xiaobai. The two magic beasts were already heavily injured. After falling from a height of tens of meters, their bones were immediately broken, and their vitality dissipated. Then, the flesh of the two magic beasts began to shrink, and a green light flashed around their bodies. This was the prelude to the extraction of a transcendent item. Moreover, it was an elite transcendent item. Mo Xiaobai. Looking at the gray stone eagle and gray stone wolf that were extracting transcendent materials, Mo Xiaobai's mind was unable to react. Treasures would fall from the sky just by standing here? And elite transcendent materials at that? What kind of luck was this? Just as Mo Xiaobai's mind was filled with question marks, he suddenly saw that when the two elite magical beasts began to separate extraordinary materials, the red light in the air actually began to slowly dissipate. His body stiffened and his eyes widened. His breathing was somewhat hurried. Could this be the treasure that the red light was guiding him to? How was this possible? Mo Xiaobai stared at the red light in the sky until it turned white. The green light on the two magic beasts also slowly dissipated, leaving behind dried flesh, a few green transcendent materials, and a few rank 1 origin crystals. The gray stone wolf's body was covered with a layer of stone armor, and 2 of its sharp fangs. Meanwhile, the gray stone eagle's body was covered with a pair of gray claws suffused with a metallic luster, and 8 gray feathers. All of them were flashing with a green light. They were all elite-grade transcendent materials. At the same time, the 2 magic beasts produced a total of 13 rank 1 origin crystals. The gray stone eagle produced 7, and the gray stone wolf produced 6. Mo Xiaobai exhaled slightly. His heart was beating violently in his chest, so much so that he felt some pain in his chest. The red light was actually indicating the transcendent materials and origin crystals of the 2 magic beasts. The effect of the light had far exceeded his imagination. It could even predict that the 2 magic beasts would perish together in a few minutes. This didn't seem to be as simple as finding treasures, right? The red light could predict good luck, not just in the present, but also in the future. This was truly too. Mo Xiaobai was incomparably excited. He didn't know how to describe it for a moment. This light was too powerful. In the distant forest, Mo Xiaobai and Mu Yuzhu were a bit angry because the sky was gradually darkening, but Mo Xiaobai still hadn't returned to the base. After hearing the bird cry, the 2 of them raised their heads and looked at the sky. Mu Yuzhu's eyes widened. A gray stone eagle? Mo Yu frowned. It seems to be holding a gray stone wolf? They're both elite transcendent. The 2 looked at each other in dismay. But these 2 magic beasts seem to be heavily injured? Let's continue to observe the situation. Then, the 2 saw the gray stone eagle and gray stone wolf stagger over Mo Xiaobai's head and land heavily. Thump! The dull sound of the landing landed heavily in their hearts. Mo Yu. Mu Yuzhu. Looking at the gray stone eagle and gray stone wolf that were slowly producing transcendent materials and origin crystals, their minds were full of question marks. After a moment of silence, the corner of Mo Yu's mouth twitched. She was unconvinced. Damn! What kind of luck does this brat have? A pie falling from the sky? And 2 elite transcendent corpses at once. I'm his father, why can't I have such good luck? Everyone was dumbfounded. Mu Yuzhu's beautiful face was also filled with confusion. These 2 elite transcendent corpses brought at least 100 grade 1 origin crystals. Our son couldn't have been chosen by the goddess of luck, right? This kind of luck was simply inhuman. P.S. Well, if everyone thinks it's not bad, please vote for it. The new book needs everyone's care. Chapter 23. While Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were still in shock, they suddenly frowned at the same time and turned to look at the forest and piles of rocks. Mo Yu raised his eyebrows. It seems that the commotion just now has attracted some wolves. Mu Yuzhu's red eyes were filled with killing intent as a red wooden longbow appeared in her hand. She said coldly, "How dare you have designs on my son? You must be tired of living." Mo Yu patted Mu Yuzhu's shoulder. "Wife, wait a moment." Mu Yuzhu glared at him. "What's wrong?" Mo Yu coughed dryly and said, "Let's observe the situation first. This is the first time that brat has come out alone. He'll definitely encounter people with ulterior motives in the future. Let's teach him a lesson and leave a deep impression. He'll be more vigilant in the future." Hearing Mo Yu's words, Mu Yuzhu frowned slightly and thought for a moment before nodding. "That's fine." The 2 of them glanced at the places where people were hidden and then paid attention to Mo Xiaobai. After the initial shock, Mo Xiaobai happily picked up the extraordinary materials and origin crystals on the ground. With so many extraordinary materials, how much could he sell them for? He had made a huge profit this time. Mo Xiaobai was very satisfied. Not only was the harvest great, but he also knew another function of the red ray. The sky was getting darker and darker. Mo Xiaobai looked at the gradually darkening sky and frowned slightly. It seemed that he had to hurry back. He turned around and planned to leave. But at this moment, he paused and looked in the direction of the forest in the distance. In the distant forest, a black figure slowly walked out and walked toward Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai's body tensed up and frowned as he looked at the black figure in the distance. Mo Xiaobai was on high alert. He glanced at the shrunken flesh of the two magical beasts. Was it because of the gray stone eagle's cry? Or was it because it saw the gray stone eagle flying over? The figure in the distance was getting closer and closer. Mo Xiaobai could see his face clearly under the dim sky. It was a human with brown curly hair. His face was a little round, and there was a gentle smile on his thick lips. He looked very kind. Mo Xiaobai might have really thought that this guy was kind if it wasn't for the grayish-black light surrounding him. But now, in Mo Xiaobai's eyes, the smile on his face was extremely sinister. This guy was a huge threat to him. He pointed his sword at the brown-haired human and said coldly, "Stop. If you come any closer, I'll make a move." The brown-haired human was stunned for a moment. He looked at Mo Xiaobai, who had a rather youthful face, and his eyes were filled with surprise. Why were youngsters so vigilant these days? Then he glanced at the corpses of the two magical beasts beside Mo Xiaobai, and a greedy look flashed in his eyes. With a gentle smile, he raised his hands and spread them out, indicating that he was harmless. At the same time, he said, "Little friend, it's like this. My name is Chenpeng, and I'm also a solo adventurer. Don't worry, I don't mean you any harm. I just heard some noise and came over to take a look." As he spoke, he slowly moved closer to Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai's face darkened and he said coldly, "I said, don't come any closer. You've finished looking, right? If you're done, leave." However, Chenpeng heard Mo Xiaobai's words and continued to approach slowly. He smiled bitterly and said, "Little friend, you don't have to be so guarded against me, right? Look, I'm raising my hands, and I don't have any weapons. I just want to ask what materials you've picked up. If there are materials that I need, I can buy them. The price will definitely not be a loss for you." Mo Xiaobai listened to Chenpeng's explanation expressionlessly. The grayish-black light around him danced, looking somewhat eerie. 70 meters, 60 meters, 50 meters. When Chenpeng was 50 meters away from Mo Xiaobai, a cold killing intent flashed in Mo Xiaobai's eyes. "You're asking for death." Bang! He didn't hold back at all as he activated the origin refining technique. Origin power poured out of his origin aperture and into his body. He stomped on the bluestone ground, and the ground let out a dull thud. Fine cracks like a spider web appeared. Mo Xiaobai's body had already turned into a blur, and he charged towards Chenpeng. Mo Xiaobai's burst of power was extremely sudden. The smile on Chenpeng's face froze, and his pupils contracted. So fast! Almost in an instant, Mo Xiaobai crossed the 50-meter distance and appeared in front of Chenpeng. The muscles in his hands bulged, and he gripped the gray stone sword's hilt tightly. Origin power poured into the sword. 3 consecutive slashes. A white radiance appeared in the dim night sky. The white light shone on Chenpeng's face, adding a hint of savagery to his expression. He clenched his right hand, and the long sword in his spatial ring appeared in his hand. He held it horizontally to block. Clang! The first slash. The gray stone sword and the long sword collided. Chenpeng felt a huge surge of power. The web between his thumb and forefinger cracked, and the long sword in his hand trembled violently. His expression changed drastically. Clang! The second slash. The long sword in Chenpeng's hand was knocked out of his hand, and his face lost all color. Chi! The third slash. The gray stone sword flashed with white light and drew a beautiful arc. It also slashed across Chenpeng's neck, and blood spurted out. Chenpeng's eyes widened. His right hand covered his bleeding neck, and his eyes flashed with all kinds of emotions. Greed, confusion, unwillingness, resentment. Kakik. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but blood spurted out from the corner of his mouth. Bang! In the end, he could not say anything. He fell to the ground with his head raised. Mo Xiaobai looked at Chen Peng's corpse. His face was pale. His hand holding the sword was trembling slightly, and his heart was beating like a war drum. Because he was too nervous, his fingertips were tingling with pain. Mo Xiaobai looked at Chen Peng's corpse, which was still bleeding, and licked his dry lip. Huff! Huff! He breathed heavily, trying to calm his complicated emotions. He killed someone. This was his first time killing someone. But he did not regret it. From the color of the black light just now, if he did not kill Chen Peng would have killed him. As expected, his mother was right. Mo Xiaobai sighed slightly. Looking at Chen Peng's corpse, his gaze was complicated. In the void, there were many greedy people who wanted to kill someone and steal their treasures. He did not expect that he would encounter such a person on the first day. Hiss, when Mo Xiaobai suddenly unleashed 3 consecutive slashes to kill Chen Peng, there were all kinds of gasps in the forest. In the forest far away there were 3 places where people were hiding. 2 rabbit men were hiding behind a large tree that required 2 people to wrap their arms around it. A barbarian, a human, and a night spirit were hiding behind some bushes. The last one was Mou and Muyuju. At this moment, everyone was looking at Mo Xiaobai with their eyes wide open. Mo Xiaobai was too decisive. From the moment he unleashed his power to killing Chen Peng, he did not leave any leeway. He was completely aiming to kill. The people in the dark all widened their eyes and their scalps went numb. Were the young people nowadays so difficult to deal with? Chapter 24. Behind the bushes, Night Spirit looked at Mo Xiaobai in the distance with a hint of shock in her eyes. She swallowed her saliva and asked the barbarian softly, "Boss, what should we do?" The barbarian man furrowed his brows and stared at Mo Xiaobai in the distance. His eyes flashed with fear. I didn't expect Chen Peng to die in his hands. Chen Peng's cultivation was at 1 apertured level 6, but he was killed so easily. Is this guy really that strong? The human man beside him wanted to retreat. Boss, even if the 3 of us can kill him together, 1 or 2 of us might die. We might even die together. The barbarian man did not say anything. He looked at Mo Xiaobai and wondered if he should attack. The 2 rabbit men behind the tree were also whispering to each other. Brother, what do you think? Do you want to do it? Chen Peng died in his hands. Are we sure we can do it? But Chen Peng has a lot of wealth. Are we going to give it up just like that? The 2 rabbitmen's eyes flashed. If it was before, they would have given up. After all, it was just 2 magical beasts' extraordinary materials. But now, Chen Peng's inheritance was included. Although Mo Xiaobai's strength shocked them, they were not willing to give up so easily with so many resources in front of them. In another direction, Mou and Muyuju looked at each other with shock in their eyes when they saw Mo Xiaobai kill Chen Peng. After a moment of silence, Muyuju slowly put down her longbow. Xiaobai will be fine even if we don't follow him. Mou nodded. Yes, I wasn't so decisive when I was his age. There was a look of relief on his face. Muyuju smiled and said proudly, "Of course. Don't you know whose son he is?" Mou's mouth twitched. Wasn't he his son too? What did she say? He did not want to argue with Muyuju. Instead, he narrowed his eyes and looked in the direction where the other 2 groups were hiding. I'm afraid they don't want to give up yet. Let's see how Xiaobai handles this. Muyuju's gaze turned cold again as she tightened her grip on her longbow. After taking a deep breath for a moment, Mo Xiaobai finally calmed down. He was about to go forward and pick up Chen Peng's things. At this moment, he suddenly paused and turned to look in the direction of the forest. His pupils contracted. In order to kill Chen Peng, he had approached the forest. The white light had already covered the forest. Now, he discovered that there was still a grayish-black light in the forest. And there were two of them. His entire body tensed up, and his right hand gripped the heavy sword tightly. Although these two spots were slightly dimmer than Chunpeng's, it did not mean that there was no danger. He swept his gaze over the two spots with the grayish-black light and said coldly, "Who's there? Come out." Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, the three barbarians and the two rabbit men who were still in a dilemma trembled. Their eyes widened in shock. The barbarian said with some surprise, "He can actually sense us?" The human male's eyes flashed with a trace of fear. "Boss, I'm afraid he's stronger than what he's shown." The rabbit woman also said, "Boss, why don't we retreat?" The two rabbit men on the other side also looked at each other. After a moment of silence, both sides made up their minds. Retreat. In Mo Xiaobai's vision, the grayish-black light in the two spots began to slowly dissipate, and finally turned white. Mo Xiaobai was stunned and a little puzzled. What's going on? There was clearly a grayish-black light just now, why did it suddenly disappear? He carefully looked in the direction of the forest. After confirming that the grayish-black light was gone, he let out a sigh of relief. It was really gone. Did they leave? His tense body relaxed. Although the triple slash was powerful, it consumed too much origin power. In just one use, he had used up close to a third of his origin power. Of course, the main reason was that his cultivation was too low, and his origin power reserves were too little. If two people of similar strength to Chunpeng were to join forces and attack him, he wasn't sure if he could really beat them. Fortunately, they seemed to have something to do and left. Mo Xiaobai looked around again. After confirming that there was no danger nearby, he began to pack up Chunpeng's things. He first went to pick up the longsword that he had shaken off earlier. He injected origin power into the longsword and tested it, confirming that it was an elite-grade longsword. Just this longsword alone was probably worth hundreds of origin crystals. Mo Xiaobai was delighted and put away the longsword. Then, he put away Chunpeng's leather armor, which was also of elite grade. Finally, Mo Xiaobai looked at Chunpeng's fingers. After seeing the two rings on Chunpeng's fingers, he was stunned. 2 spatial rings? He bent down and took off the 2 rings, injecting origin power into them. Then, he discovered that one of them was a spatial ring, while the other was a light gray ring that was suffused with a faint green light. He looked at the light gray ring that was suffused with a faint green light, his eyes wide open and his face full of surprise. It was actually an origin power equipment, and it was an elite-grade origin power ring. Origin power rings were very rare. Just this ring alone was probably worth more than 500 origin crystals, right? He happily put the light gray ring on his finger and felt the changes brought about by this origin power equipment. Wisps of energy from the light gray ring flowed into Mo Xiaobai's body. Mo Xiaobai felt that his internal organs and bones were strengthened to a certain extent. His breathing became more prolonged, and at the same time, his explosive strength and sharpness of his body were also slightly improved. Increased endurance and sharpness, huh? Mo Xiaobai was delighted. This ring's effects were not bad. After wearing it, his combat strength would increase by another 10%. Then, Mo Xiaobai looked at the dark black spatial ring, wanting to see what Chunpeng had. A woof! A woof! Just as Mo Xiaobai wanted to see what was inside the spatial ring, wolf howls came from the depths of the hill. The wolf howls were endless, and they were approaching at an extremely fast speed. Mo Xiaobai's expression changed dramatically, and he turned to look in the direction of the wolf howls behind him. Under the dark blue sky, he saw gray shadows rushing down the hill from afar. There were dozens of them. Mo Xiaobai felt a chill rush from his back to the top of his head, and his scalp went numb. He turned and ran without even thinking. A pack of gray stone wolves. It must be that elite gray stone wolf. It must be that pack of elite gray stone wolves coming for it. Mo Xiaobai rushed into the small forest. After running for a few hundred meters, he heard the wolf howls behind him change, becoming even more violent and fierce. They had discovered the corpse. Mo Xiaobai's back was drenched in cold sweat. They wouldn't come for him, right? Just as this thought appeared in his mind, he heard the wolf howls approaching him. Mo Xiaobai, the corner of his mouth twitched violently. He circulated his origin power, poured it into his legs, and ran madly in the direction of the base. P.S. Frowny face thanks to Lin Yizhi and Wind of the Sky for their tips. Chapter 25. Mo Xiaobai ran quickly through the forest, the trees and vines whizzing past him. The sky was now completely dark. Mo Xiaobai relied on the weak starlight and his improved eyesight to see the path in front of him. He did not want to run into a tree. However, the wolf howls behind him made Mo Xiaobai's mouth dry up. If they caught up to him, wouldn't there be nothing left of him? Thinking of this, his scalp went numb, and he increased his speed. The gray stone hills at night were much more dangerous than during the day. Mo Xiaobai now understood the meaning of this saying. Within 100 meters of him, gray light would appear from time to time. Sometimes there would even be 3 or 4 areas with gray light at the same time. These were all magical beasts. There were much more of them than during the day. Even without the wolf pack chasing him, Mo Xiaobai still had to be careful. As for now, although he tried his best not to make any noise, in order to run at full speed, he would still attract the attention of some magical beast. Roar! A roar sounded. In front of Mo Xiaobai's right, a gray stone wild boar lowered its head and charged towards him. Its sharp fangs glowed with a faint white light. Mo Xiaobai saw the gray stone wild boar charging towards him, and his eyes flashed with hostility. Scram! The muscles in his right arm tightened, and he swung his sword. Boom! The heavy sword slammed into the head of the gray stone wild boar, and the huge force sent it flying. The sound of bones cracking and the wild boar's screams rang out in the quiet night sky. Mo Xiaobai did not stop, and did not even look at the gray stone wild boar that had been sent flying. He continued to run forward. After running out of the forest, there were still hills as far as the eye could see. Mo Xiaobai continued to run with his head down. Along the way, Mo Xiaobai would occasionally encounter magical beasts blocking his way. There were at least 1, and at most 3 or 4, and their strength varied. Some were only level 1, while others were level 4 or 5. Mo Xiaobai either killed his way through or took a detour to avoid his enemies. It was difficult for him to make his way back to the encampment. His newly bought leather armor had a few more cracks on it, and there were also a few wounds on his body. Blood slowly flowed out. Fortunately, along the way, Mo Xiaobai relied on the terrain and his own speed to not let the wolf pack close in on him. In fact, he even left them further behind. The howling of the wolves behind him was already very weak, and the number of wolves seemed to be less than before. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. It seemed like they were going to give up. After all, they had chased them for so long. He took a deep breath and drank a few mouthfuls of water from his space ring. The cold water moisturized his parched throat and swept away some of his fatigue. Mo Xiaobai furrowed his brows as he felt waves of pain coming from his wounds. Then, he continued to move and climbed up the mountain. After reaching the top of the mountain, Mo Xiaobai saw the flashing lights on the plains in the distance. His eyes were filled with excitement and surprise. Finally, they were about to arrive. He took a deep breath and hurriedly ran down the mountain. Along the way, Mo Xiaobai remained vigilant and constantly paid attention to the surrounding light. If the light turned gray, he would quickly avoid it. Soon, he reached the bottom of the last hill and arrived at the plains outside the gray stone hills. He ran in the direction of the encampment. Not long after Mo Xiaobai left, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu came down from the mountain. Mu Yuzhu was accompanied by Little Red. Little Red stuck out her tongue slightly, and the two gray stone wolves about 100 meters away ran away with their tails between their legs. Mu Yuju's fingers gently brushed little red scales, but her eyes were fixed on Mo Xiaobai's figure in the distance. Her eyes were filled with heartache. On the side, Mo Yu looked at Mo Xiaobai in the distance and exhaled slightly. She smiled and said, "Being chased by a pack of greystone wolves at night and only suffering some light injuries, this kid is already a mature adventurer." Minor injuries? Mu Yuju glared at Mo Yu. "You call that minor injuries?" Mo Yu's mouth twitched, but he didn't say anything. He cursed in his heart. No one was missing an arm or a leg. Wasn't that just a minor injury? Mu Yuju continued, however, "I didn't expect Xiaobai to perform so well today. With his performance, we don't have to worry about him in the future." Mo Yu nodded. "Indeed. I thought we would need to do something." Even as experienced adventurers, they couldn't find any fault with Mo Xiaobai's performance today. Especially when he was escaping from the gray stone wolves, it was especially exciting. He actually dodged so many magic beasts along the way. This was something they never expected. "Alright, let's go back." At the entrance of the encampment, there were two teams of guards on duty. "Captain, an adventurer has returned," an elven guard said. The captain of the merfolk guards looked up in the direction of the wilderness. In the dark wilderness, a figure was approaching. He raised his eyebrows slightly. "Stay alert." The figure in the darkness was getting closer and closer. Soon, the guard saw his face clearly. After seeing Mo Xiaobai's young face, all the guards were stunned. After seeing Mo Xiaobai's wounds and bloodstains, everyone's pupils constricted. How fierce of a battle did this young man go through? Everyone looked at Mo Xiaobai with more respect. Mo Xiaobai came to the city gate. He was a little confused by the guards' gazes, but he didn't care much. He was very tired now. He just wanted to go back and rest. Just as Mo Xiaobai was about to enter the city, he was stopped by the merfolk captain. He said coldly, "Proof of identity. Adventurer's badge or pass will do." Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He asked curiously, "I don't need that when I leave the city, right?" The merfolk captain glanced at Mo Xiaobai and smiled. "Young man, is this your first time in the Void Territory?" Mo Xiaobai replied, "I came here with my teacher a few days ago." "And you're still a high school student?" After Mo Xiaobai said this, the guards' eyes widened. They were in an uproar. Mo Xiaobai looked at the guards' shocked expressions. He was confused. "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" The merfolk captain turned around and stared at the guards. Then he looked at Mo Xiaobai with a gentler expression. He smiled and said, "It's nothing. They just haven't seen a genius before. A high school student who's already a body fundamentalist and can come back alive from gray stone hills at night. Young man, you're very strong." Mo Xiaobai was a little embarrassed by the merfolk captain's praise. He grinned. "Senior, you're too kind." The merfolk captain smiled. "Last time when your teacher brought you here, you went back before night, right?" Mo Xiaobai was stunned. Then he nodded. "Yes. That's right. Entering the base at night is different. You need identification." Mo Xiaobai revealed a look of realization. He took out his pass and handed it over. The merfolk captain swiped the pass on a strange device. After a beep, he nodded and returned the pass to Mo Xiaobai. "Okay, you can go in." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Thank you, senior." He turned around and entered the base. After Mo Xiaobai entered the encampment, the originally silent guards immediately burst into an uproar. "This young man is incredible. He's only a high school student and he's already a body fundamentalist. That's not all. This is Gray Stone Hills at night. Even a 1 aperture level 4 or 5 wouldn't dare to say that he can come back alive. But this young man actually came back alive. TSK. If that's the case, this young man's ability might be at 1 aperture level 5? The guards fell silent and looked at each other. The merfolk captain looked at Mo Xiaobai's departing figure and couldn't help but sigh. Pingxi town is going to be famous this year. The night creature vice-captain's eyes flashed. He was very shocked. There's still a month before the college entrance exam. Pingxi town might be able to produce a young dragon to participate in the first cries trial. Chapter 26. After entering the encampment, Mo Xiaobai went straight to the pharmacy to purchase some healing medicines. His injuries weren't that serious, so he only bought a bottle of low-grade Grade 1 healing medicine. Even so, he still spent 10 Grade 1 origin crystals. Intermediate, high, and supreme grade healing medicines were probably even more expensive. As for the flawless ones, they could even regrow severed limbs. As long as one didn't die, it was equivalent to having an extra life. These things were basically priceless, but these weren't things Mo Xiaobai needed to consider at the moment. After buying the healing medicine, he went to the residential area and spent 5,000 yuan to find a house with a bathroom. After taking off his clothes, Mo Xiaobai glanced at the crisscrossing wounds on his body and grimaced as he felt the pain from them. He first washed his body with hot water, then poured down a translucent ruby-like healing medicine. Immediately, he felt waves of numbness from his wounds. These were the wounds on his body recovering. With the effects of a low-grade Grade 1 healing medicine, he would be completely healed in about a night's time. After putting on his clothes, he took out the spatial ring Chen Peng had dropped and counted his spoils. Chen Peng's spatial ring was about the same size as the one on his hand, and there were quite a few things inside. Among them were a few sets of clothes, food and water, a pile of origin crystals, a pile of extraordinary materials and herbs, and a few bottles of medicine. Mo Xiaobai threw away Chen Peng's clothes, food, and water before counting the origin crystals. All of them were Grade 1 origin crystals, and there were a total of 833 of them. As for the extraordinary materials and herbs, they included gray stone wolf skin, wolf fangs, wolf claws, gray stone boar skin, tusks, gray stone grass, and so on. These extraordinary materials and herbs were all of the ordinary grade. Only elite magical beasts would produce extraordinary materials of the elite grade. The chances of ordinary magical beasts producing such materials were extremely low. With Chen Peng's strength, it was obviously unrealistic for him to kill an elite magical beast. As for the elite grade herbs, that would depend on his luck. In the end, Mo Xiaobai looked at the medicines. There were a total of 3 bottles. One was the stone skin potion with the gray potion, one was the strength potion with the blood-colored potion, and the last was the healing potion that Mo Xiaobai had used before, but it was a mid-grade one. Mo Xiaobai was somewhat vexed. If he had known earlier, he would have taken a look at the spatial ring and saved himself the trouble of buying medicines. However, he was still quite delighted. He made a rough estimate of the items he could sell, including Chen Peng's elite longsword, elite leather armor, and the pile of extraordinary materials and herbs. Just these alone, he could sell them for close to 1,000 origin crystals. Plus, there were the origin crystals here already. There were close to 2,000 origin crystals. What a great harvest! If he were to use 60 Grade 1 origin crystals a day, he wouldn't be able to use 2,000 in a month. Just this wave alone was enough for his cultivation resources. He didn't expect Chen Peng to be so wealthy. He couldn't help but reveal himself. Tomorrow, he would sell the items and then return home to continue cultivating. He exhaled and calmed his excited heart before lying down on the single bed and closing his eyes. Due to the exhaustion of the day, he quickly fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai opened his eyes. He first glanced at his injuries and found that the scabs had already fallen off. There wasn't even a scar left behind. As expected of a healing medicine, these 10 origin crystals were quite worth it. Mo Xiaobai praised inwardly. Afterward, he sat cross-legged and began his daily cultivation. An hour later, Mo Xiaobai finished his cultivation for the day and checked out of the room. It was still early, but there were already quite a few adventurers on the streets of the base. They walked along the streets in twos and threes, laughing as they set off for the day's work. Mo Xiaobai, on the other hand, returned to the center of the plaza and passed through the door of light to return to the Adventurers' Center. He exited the Adventurers' Center, hailed a cab, and headed directly to the Adventurers' Guild. He had obtained some elite herbs and materials yesterday, so he planned to go to the Adventurers' Guild to see if there were any missions related to this. Soon, Mo Xiaobai arrived at the Adventurers' Guild. Perhaps it was because it was still early, but there were fewer people than the last time he came with his father. Mo Xiaobai arrived at a mission counter at the side of the hall. The staff behind the counter was a mermaid with a gentle smile. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. After all, Mo Xiaobai was too young. It was hard to imagine that he was here for an adventurer's mission. She spoke gently. "Hello, how can I help you?" Mo Xiaobai thought for a moment and smiled. "Please help me check if there are any missions related to the purple root grass." Purple root grass? The mermaid was startled when she heard this. The purple root grass was an elite herb. This young man didn't look old? She glanced at Mo Xiaobai's young face and didn't say anything. Instead, she operated the machine in front of her. Soon, she smiled and said, "Hello, there are a few missions related to the collection of the purple root grass. Please take a look." Then, Mo Xiaobai saw a few mission introductions appear on a screen facing him. He looked through it and found that they were all missions related to the collection of the purple root grass. The missions were all black iron. A piece of purple root grass was priced from 70 to 100. Mo Xiaobai naturally chose the mission with the highest price of 100 origin crystals. "I want to submit this mission." The mermaid blinked. She didn't expect Mo Xiaobai to really have the purple root grass. "Okay, please give me your adventurer's badge and the purple root grass." Mo Xiaobai took out the badge and the purple root grass and handed them to the mermaid. After the mermaid took the purple root grass, she called a human appraiser over. The human appraiser was also startled when he saw Mo Xiaobai. He didn't expect such a young adventurer to submit the purple root grass mission. After checking that the purple root grass was real, he nodded to the mermaid. The mermaid immediately gave Mo Xiaobai a gentle smile. "Sir, your purple root grass is effective. Are you sure you want to complete this mission?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." The mermaid operated for a while, and then swiped Mo Xiaobai's black iron badge on a machine. After a beep, the mermaid said, "Mission completed." Mo Xiaobai could see that the screen in front of him had changed into his basic information. His name, age, and adventurer's level. Adventurer's level was black iron and there was a point behind it. After completing this mission, his point became 1 point. If he wanted to upgrade from black iron to bronze, he needed 100 points. After that, he still needed to complete 3 bronze missions. The difficulty of upgrading was still very high. These were still too far away for Mo Xiaobai. Seeing that the mermaid was about to return his adventurer's badge, he quickly continued. "Right, please help me check if there are any missions that require me to collect elite gray stone wolf skin, gray stone wolf teeth, gray stone eagle claws, and gray stone eagle feathers." "What?" The mermaid was stunned when Mo Xiaobai mentioned so many elite rare materials. She wondered if she had heard wrong. Chapter 27. The mermaid and Mo Xiaobai stared at each other. After a moment of silence, the mermaid asked in surprise, "Sir, do you have any other elite extraordinary materials?" Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes. "Why would I ask you if I didn't?" The mermaid was speechless. She felt a bit dazed. Who was this person? The information in the adventurer's medal showed that he was only 16 years old, and he had only completed his adventurer registration a few days ago. How did he obtain so many elite grade, extraordinary grade materials so quickly? Did his family give him them? But that was unnecessary. If he wasn't strong enough, he would die easily if he accepted an adventuring mission that exceeded his strength. She looked at Emo Xiaobai with shock in her eyes. He had just become a body fundamentalist, yet he could kill elite magical beasts? Was he a monster? Please wait a moment. She hurriedly started to check. A moment later, the mermaid said, Sir, there are no missions for gray stone wolf teeth, gray stone wolf skin, or gray stone eagle claws. There is a mission to collect gray stone eagle feathers. Emo Xiaobai looked at the screen in front of him. It showed the mission to collect gray stone eagle feathers. Each feather was worth 10 origin crystals. Emo Xiaobai smiled. Complete this mission for me. Saying so, he took out 8 gray stone eagle feathers. The mermaid looked at the gray stone eagle feathers in front of her in surprise. This young man actually had gray stone eagle feathers. She reached out to take the feather and called for a material appraiser. After confirming the authenticity of the gray stone eagle feathers, she smiled at Emo Xiaobai. Sir, your gray stone eagle feathers are valid. Are you sure you want to complete this mission? Emo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. After a series of operations, Emo Xiaobai's adventurer points became 2 points. Sir, do you need to complete any other missions? The mermaid asked. Emo Xiaobai shook his head. No, thank you. The mermaid sighed in relief. You're welcome. She was really afraid that Emo Xiaobai would take out another elite-grade material. If that was the case, she felt that her little heart wouldn't be able to take it. This is your adventurer's medal. She returned the adventurer's medal to Emo Xiaobai. Emo Xiaobai took the medal and smiled. Thank you. The mermaid blushed slightly and smiled. You're welcome. So handsome, he looked really good when he smiled. After completing the quest, Emo Xiaobai walked out of the Adventurers Guild. There were still 3 elite-grade materials. Who would have thought that no one would collect them? TSK, let's sell it first. Emo Xiaobai walked towards the gray iron weapon shop. Emo Xiaobai had just entered the gray iron weapon shop when Old Gray, who was tidying up the shelves, saw him. He grinned, revealing his uneven teeth. Oh, it's Xiaobai. As he spoke, he turned to look at the door. When he didn't see Mo, he said, Your dad didn't come with you? Emo Xiaobai shook his head. I came alone. Old Gray looked at Emo Xiaobai in surprise and smiled. Then what do you want to buy? Emo Xiaobai grinned. I'm here to sell something. Sell something? Old Gray was even more surprised. Yes, Emo Xiaobai said, I just came back from the Gray Stone Hills. I want to sell some extraordinary grade materials. When Old Gray heard this, he revealed a look of realization. He looked at Emo Xiaobai and grinned. Your dad is my old customer. Then I'll take a look at your materials. Come. As he spoke, he called a waiter to look after the shop and took Emo Xiaobai through the side door. After entering the side door, Emo Xiaobai saw a recycling room that was similar to the equipment store in the Greystone Hill encampment. There were a few appraisers and adventurers selling materials in the recycling room. After seeing Old Gray, the appraisers quickly greeted him. Boss. Old Gray waved his hand. Do what you need to do. As he spoke, he found an empty space and smiled at Emo Xiaobai. Come, let me see what you got. He didn't think that Emo Xiaobai could get much. After all, Emo had already said that Emo Xiaobai had only just broken through to become a body fundamentalist. Even if he went to the Greystone Hills, it would be good if he could kill a few demonic beasts that had just entered the rank. It would be good if he could get a few extraordinary grade materials. Just as he had said, he had only received them personally because of Mo. Old Gray had even made up his mind that after Emo Xiaobai took out the materials, he would praise Emo Xiaobai to make him feel better. However, when Emo Xiaobai took out piles of transcendent materials, Old Gray's eyes widened and he was a little dumbfounded. A gray stone wolf skin, 12 pieces? Gray stone wolf fangs, gray stone wolf claws, gray stone pigskin fangs. Old Gray's eyes almost popped out. He looked at Mo Xiao Bai's calm face with shock. How can there be so many extraordinary grade materials? Didn't Mo Xiao Bai just become a body fundamentalist? He had to kill hundreds of demonic beasts to get so many extraordinary grade materials. Was Mo Xiao Bai that strong? It wasn't just Old Gray. Even the appraisers and adventurers who came to sell materials looked over in shock. Although there weren't many extraordinary grade materials and they were all level 1, it depended on who took them out. Looking at Mo Xiao Bai's young face, it was obvious that he was young. It was very rare to be able to take out so many extraordinary grade materials at such a young age. Naturally, it attracted everyone's attention. Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, "Boss, there's something else." As he spoke, he took out the elite grade gray stone wolf fangs, gray stone wolf skin, and gray stone eagle claws. As soon as he took out the 3 materials, Old Gray Man snatched them away. He looked at the gray stone wolf fangs, then the gray stone wolf skin, and finally the gray stone eagle claws. They are all elite grade materials. And the quality is so high. There are even gray stone eagle claws? You didn't kill a gray stone eagle, did you? That's at least a 1-apertured elite grade demonic beast. Old Gray exclaimed again and again. After all, elite grade materials were hard to come by. Especially when they were level 1 elite grade materials. Even Old Gray could only receive them once every few days. He didn't expect to receive 3 of them today. Moreover, they were sent by Mo Xiao Bai. How could Old Gray not be surprised? Not only Old Gray, but even the other appraisers and adventurers widened their eyes, their gazes flashing. Elite grade gray stone wolves, gray stone eagles. This young man actually has the strength to kill them? Isn't this too unbelievable? This young man's strength is probably at the 1-apertured advanced grade, right? Hiss, everyone looked at Mo Xiao Bai with shock in their eyes. It was natural for someone so young to have such powerful strength. When Mo Xiao Bai saw Old Gray and the others' shocked expressions, he quickly coughed dryly and explained, "Boss, you've misunderstood. I didn't kill them. They fell from the sky together and landed right in front of me." Everyone. Chapter 28. Upon hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the atmosphere in the room fell silent. Everyone looked at Mo Xiao Bai in a daze. Fell from the sky? And right in front of them? Why don't you go to heaven? Then, Old Gray said unhappily, "Xiao Bai, I'm not happy with what you said. If elite magical beasts really fall from the sky, I'll run around Pingxi town naked for a week." The others also looked like they didn't believe him. Mo Xiao Bai was speechless. He twitched the corner of his mouth and stopped talking. What's wrong with people these days? Why is no one willing to believe him when he's telling the truth? He fell into deep thought. Is there anything else? Old Gray caressed the gray stone wolf's fur lovingly and looked at Mo Xiao Bai expectantly. Mo Xiao Bai shook his head. That's all. When Old Gray heard this, he immediately revealed a disappointed expression. He really hoped that Mo Xiao Bai could bring out more elite-grade extraordinary materials. If possible, it would be best if he could bring out some rare-grade extraordinary materials. Then he would be able to forge rare-grade equipment. A Tier 1 rare equipment was definitely a precious existence. He said, "Wait a moment, let me do the math." Okay. Then, Old Gray began to count the extraordinary materials. Soon, he finished counting. For this elite gray stone wolf's fur, I'll pay 100 rank 1 origin crystals, 60 for each gray stone wolf's tooth, 60 for each gray stone eagle's claw. As for the ordinary extraordinary materials, there'll be a total of 235 rank 1 origin crystals, making a total of 575. I'll round it up to 580. How about that? Mo Xiao Bai nodded. No problem, that's all. Deal. Old Gray put away the transcendent grade materials and paid Mo Xiaobai. When the others saw the deal, they all revealed envious expressions. That was 580 rank 1 origin crystals. That was quite a lot. After Mo Xiaobai put away the origin crystals, he suddenly thought of something. He said, "Oh right, boss, do you accept equipment here?" Equipment? Old Gray was stunned. He looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. Even the other adventurers who were envious were stunned. Old Gray Head asked, "What equipment?" Mo Xiaobai took out Chun Peng's long sword and leather armor and handed them over. Seeing what Mo Xiaobai took out, everyone's pupils shrank. The weapons and equipment did not belong to him. They were obviously taken from the dead. As for how that person died, it was worth investigating. They looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange look in their eyes. This young man did not seem to be an ordinary person. Old Gray took a deep look at Mo Xiaobai, then grinned, "Of course." He took the long sword and leather armor from Mo Xiaobai's hands. After examining them, he said, 300 for the long sword and 200 for the leather armor. Mo Xiaobai nodded, "Deal." Although the price was a bit lower than he had expected, it was still acceptable. After all, this was considered additional income. After dealing with Chun Peng's long sword and leather armor, Mo Xiaobai took the full amount of origin crystals and left the gray iron weapon shop. Afterward, he entered a pharmacy beside the weapon shop and dealt with the herbs he had previously harvested. He had obtained a total of 360 origin crystals from the herbs. Mo Xiaobai did a quick calculation. Including the origin crystals that Chun Peng already had, his harvest this time was a bit more than he had estimated. It was already over 2,000 origin crystals. It was enough for him to cultivate for a while. After dealing with his harvest, Mo Xiaobai called a taxi and returned home. After returning home, Mo Xiaobai found Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu sitting on the sofa in the living room. Seeing Mo Xiaobai return, the two revealed a kind smile and called him over. Mo Xiaobai happily planned to go over and show off his harvest to his parents, but in the end, he found that they had followed him to the void domain and also knew that he hadn't returned to the base after nightfall. Thus, Mo Xiaobai was helplessly lectured the entire morning. As for Mo Xiaobai's harvest, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu could only attribute it to Mo Xiaobai's good luck. After all, they couldn't see the light around Mo Xiaobai. In the next few days, with enough cultivation resources, Mo Xiaobai returned to his normal routine. He would wake up in the morning and complete his daily cultivation before going to school. After school, he would go straight home. However, during these few days, 2 more people had been killed by unknown murderers. Moreover, their deaths were just as tragic. Because the victims were all young people in their teens, everyone was worried. Mo Xiaobai had been listening to his classmates discussing this issue when he was in school. The only good news was that these people were all alone and died in extremely remote areas. It could be seen that the murderer still had a lot of scruples. That evening, Mo Xiaobai went straight home after school. After entering the neighborhood, Mo Xiaobai passed by the training ground in the neighborhood. This training ground was where the body fundamentalists in the neighborhood trained. Of course, most of them were at the body refinement stage and 1 aperture level. It was used to train their bodies. Before Mo Xiaobai had broken through to become a body fundamentalist, he had often come here to train before the sun rose. If he wanted to achieve something, he had to put in the corresponding amount of sweat. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the training ground and saw a young rabbit person training inside. He couldn't help but be stunned. He said with some surprise, "Xiao Ran?" Hearing this, the young rabbit person raised his head and looked over. He had the same square face as Ning Feng. He looked a little dignified, with a buzz cut and a pair of white rabbit ears on his head. Ning Ran was Ning Feng's son. He was 12 years old now. When Ning Ran saw Mo Xiaobai, his eyes lit up and he smiled in surprise. "Brother Xiaobai, you're out of school." He put down the iron dumbbell in his hand and jogged over to Emo Xiaobai. Emo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. Yes. He looked at Ning Ran and asked in confusion, "Why are you here today? Does Uncle Ning know?" Ning Ran scratched her head and smiled innocently. "It was my dad who brought me here. Didn't he say that the murder case was getting bigger? He was a little worried, so he asked me to come here every day after school. You know, there's no one at home." Speaking of this, Ning Ran's eyes dimmed. Emo Xiaobai fell silent. Emo Xiaobai had heard about this too. Ning Feng had been injured a few years ago, so it was much harder for him to improve his cultivation. He had been stuck at the peak of the second aperture for a long time now. Ning Ran's mother was quite snobbish. Not long after giving birth to Ning Ran, she felt that Ning Feng wasn't very promising, so she left Ning Feng and Ning Ran. All these years, Ning Ran had been living with Ning Feng. It was also because of Ning Ran that Ning Feng was willing to be a security guard in the community. Ning Feng used to be a rather famous adventurer. He even worked with Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu in the early years. However, adventurers were too dangerous. If something happened to him, what would Ning Ran do? After all, he was still young. Seeing that Ning Ran was a little disappointed, Emo Xiaobai fell silent and rubbed Ning Ran's head. The short hair was a little prickly. He smiled and said, "I see that you're refining your body. Come, Brother Xiaobai will teach you." Chapter 29. Really? Hearing Emo Xiaobai's words, Ning Ran's eyes lit up and he smiled. "Okay, thank you, Brother Xiaobai." The two of them walked towards the training ground. Just then, Ning Ran seemed to have thought of something. He turned to Emo Xiaobai. "By the way, Brother Xiaobai, I heard from my dad that you've become a body fundamentalist?" Emo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes." "Wow." Ning Ran's face was full of admiration. "Brother Xiaobai, you're amazing. You'll definitely be able to get into a good school. You might even be able to get into one of the big three. Then, you'll become the strongest adventurer and explore the 3 forbidden zones." Seeing Ning Ran's longing face, Emo Xiaobai couldn't help but laugh. Usually, candidates who had just become body fundamentalists had no hope of getting into the big 3. As for exploring the forbidden zones, that was even more distant. However, Ning Ran was still young and had his own dreams. Moreover, he, Emo Xiaobai, was different. Seeing Ning Ran's admiration, he smiled and rubbed his head. "Then you can watch Brother Xiaobai get into the big 3. "Yes, yes." Ning Ran nodded. She clenched her fist and waved it. "I also have to work harder and get into the big 3. At that time, my dad will definitely be very happy. At that time, Brother Little White, as my senior, you have to protect me. You little brat." Emo Xiaobai couldn't help but laugh. Those who didn't know would think that the two of them would definitely get into the big 3. Didn't he see the other trainers looking at him like he was an idiot? Then you have to work hard. If you get into the big 3, Uncle Ning will be proud of you. "Yes." Ning Ran nodded firmly. "Since you want to get into a famous school, then let's start. I'll be stricter." "Ah!" Ning Ran's face turned bitter. He was a bit dumbfounded. However, he quickly pulled himself together and looked like he was ready to die. "Come on, Brother Xiaobai. I'm a man who wants to get into a famous school. Don't pity me." Emo Xiaobai. Black lines appeared on his forehead as he cracked a smile. "Alright then, let's start with 50 kilograms of dumbbells." Ning Ran. He looked at Emo Xiaobai with a terrified expression, as though he was looking at a demon. Emo Xiaobai instantly became even happier. Emo Xiaobai guided Ning Ran in her cultivation. Time flowed by and the sky quickly darkened. "That's it? Don't you want to get into a famous school?" The corners of Emo Xiaobai's mouth curled up as he looked at Ning Ran, who was panting on the ground. At this moment, Emo Xiaobai saw a group of people walking over from a small path in the distance. The leader was Ning Feng. Ning Feng walked over and saw Ning Ran lying on the ground. Ning Feng was a little surprised. Xiao Bai, this is? Emo Xiao Bai smiled and said, Uncle Ning, I'm supervising Xiao Ran's cultivation. Ning Feng nodded his head in realization. Then, he smiled brightly and patted Mo Xiao Bai's shoulder. I see, then I'll have to trouble you. I've been busy with work recently and haven't had time to guide him. Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, It's no trouble, Uncle Ning. In any case, he could only cultivate for an hour a day. As for cultural studies, his grades were still at the top of the grade. Moreover, with his current cultivation, cultural studies grades were already very low. Therefore, he was actually quite free. Ning Feng nodded and looked at Ning Ran. Little brat, listen to your brother Xiao Bai, okay? Ning Ran. He looked at Ning Feng with a bitter expression. Was this really his biological father? He was abused by this demon, okay? Was this person blind? Mo Xiao Bai saw Ning Ran's bitter expression and smiled. That's all for today. I have to go back too. Otherwise, my parents will be worried. Ning Ran's eyes lit up. By brother Xiao Bai. He waved his hand repeatedly, looking very happy. Mo Xiao Bai waved his hand with a smile and turned to leave. After he left, he faintly heard Ning Feng's voice behind him. Continue cultivating. Look at your brother Xiao Bai. He's already a body fundamentalist. What about you? Train more. Ah! Ning Ran's scream echoed in the night sky. Those who heard it were sad and those who heard it cried. Mo Xiao Bai returned home. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were already waiting for him. Mo Yu frowned. Why are you back so late? Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, In the district, I met Xiaoran, so I guided him in his cultivation. Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu's expressions softened. So it's little Ran. Then you should teach him more. That child also has a hard life. Mu Yuzhu sighed softly. Mo Yu's expression was complicated. Let's eat. Time passed. Soon, there was only half a month left before the college entrance exam. As the college entrance exam approached, the atmosphere in Moonlight Middle School became more oppressive. This depression was even stronger than the depression of the murder case. After all, the college entrance exam was closely related to every graduate. If they didn't do well, their starting point in the future would be worse than others. Everyone would do their best to deal with it. Even Zheng Dong, who always liked to talk nonsense, started to focus on his revision. Mo Xiao Bai's mood didn't change much. His cultivation had broken through to level 4 this morning. At this speed, it wouldn't be a problem for him to break through to level 5 before the college entrance exam. Coupled with his flawless cultivation technique, his Titan strength talent, and his perfect triple slash, it shouldn't be a problem for him to get into the big 3. With confidence, he naturally didn't panic. On the other hand, Li Qishui was more nervous than him. Li Qishui would talk to Mo Xiao Bai from time to time, telling him to calm down and perform well during the college entrance exam. Although a body fundamentalist could easily enter the top 100 colleges, there was a difference between the top 100 and the top 100. The higher the ranking, the better the resources and the better the teaching staff. Hong Shi also talked to Mo Xiao Bai, Lin Mingyu, and Meng Yu, telling them to work hard. Because of the last elite trial, Mo Xiao Bai, Lin Mingyu, and Meng Yu had become friends. Lin Mingyu and Meng Yu had already reached the peak of body refinement and were now at the stage of sensing the origin acupoints. At this moment, the two of them were equally nervous. They were even more nervous than the average examinee. There was still half a month left. If they could sense the origin acupoints and break through to become a body fundamentalist, it would be a huge leap for their results. They had to give it their all. Unfortunately, Mo Xiao Bai couldn't help them even if he wanted to. After all, everyone's origin acupoints were in different positions and needed to sense it themselves. In the evening, after school, everyone rushed out of the classroom like a swarm of bees. During this time, everyone had learned to be obedient and went home directly after school. Mo Xiaobai naturally packed his things and left the classroom. When Mo Xiaobai left the school building and walked towards the school gate, he suddenly stopped. He looked at the other side of the school wall and his eyes widened. This was because he saw a dense red light on the other side of the wall. This red light was even more dazzling than the one he saw when the transcendent material fell from the sky in the gray stone hills. Chapter 30. There was a treasure. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. After confirming the location, he quickened his pace and walked out of the school gate, jogging towards the area where the red light was converging. Soon, Mo Xiaobai arrived at the wall where the red light was converging. Outside the wall was a small path that was more than 2 meters wide. On the other side of the path, there was an office building. Mo Xiaobai walked along the path and quickly arrived at the place where the red light was converging. After arriving at his seat, Mo Xiaobai was stunned. There were no treasures on the path, and it was very clean. The red light was converging on the ground above the path. Seeing this familiar scene, Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows. Was it the same as when the magical beast fell from the sky? After that, what kind of treasure would fall from the sky? Mo Xiaobai looked at the sky. It was not too late. The sky was still dark blue, but the sun had already set in the west. There were no clouds in the sky, so he could not tell if a treasure would fall from the sky. After thinking for a while, he looked around. After confirming that there was nothing around the red light, Mo Xiaobai frowned. How long would he have to wait before a treasure would fall from the sky? If they waited for too long, it would probably be dark by then. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai looked around. This path was very quiet and remote. Speaking of which, the culprit seemed to like places like this. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai felt a chill run down his spine. What should he do? Should he wait? Mo Xiaobai looked at the dazzling red light and fell into deep thought. After a while, he gritted his teeth and made up his mind to wait. Since the red light had appeared here, he should at least have good luck before it disappeared, right? After getting the treasure, he should be fine as soon as he ran to the main street. Moreover, his cultivation was already at level 4 of 1 aperture. His combat strength was definitely above level 4. It was not certain if the culprit was a match for him. After all, the victims were all young men and women who were around his age or even younger than him. None of them were body fundamentalists. Thinking of this, Mo Xiaobai's eyes became determined. However, Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed. It was better to be fully prepared, just in case. He looked around and found a corner to take off his school uniform jacket. He took out the elite leather armor and put it on. Then, he put on his jacket again. Fortunately, the leather armor was not heavy, so it was not obvious. As for the heavy sword, he could take it out of the space ring if there was any danger. Finally, Mo Xiaobai looked at the potions in his space ring. Stone Skin Potion, Strength Potion, Healing Potion. These 3 potions were his trump cards. If the murderer was stronger, he could drink the Stone Skin Potion and Strength Potion. At the very least, he could run to the streets. After preparing everything, Mo Xiaobai took a deep breath and waited quietly for the pie to fall from the sky. Time passed. Mo Xiaobai watched the sky turn from dark blue to dark. The setting sun in the distance seemed to be sinking below the horizon. After about half an hour, the sky was completely dark. The sky was like a black curtain, dotted with stars. Mo Xiaobai frowned slightly. He looked at the red light and then at the twinkling stars in the sky. The sky was completely dark. Why hadn't the treasure appeared yet? It would be bad if they ran into the culprit. Mo Xiaobai was a little uncertain. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai suddenly heard a faint sound from afar. He quickly tensed up and looked in the direction of the sound with vigilance. "Boss, are we really going in? What are you afraid of?" Everyone is afraid of the culprit at night. Only a few companies are still working in the office building. Let's secretly find an empty company and do a good job. But what if we run into the culprit? Don't worry. I've done my research. The culprit only attacked kids in their teens. We're both adults. Nothing will happen. But, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and follow. Under the hazy starlight, Mo Xiaobai saw two dark figures slowly approaching from the side of the dim path. One of them was fat and the other was thin. They were discussing softly as they approached. Mo Xiaobai's expression was a little strange. Hearing what they said, were they two thieves? Speaking of which, this time was indeed quite suitable for thieves to be active. Very quickly they approached Mo Xiaobai. With the help of the starlight, Mo Xiaobai could see their faces clearly. The fat one had a fierce face. His face was round and he had a pair of black and white rabbit ears. He was a rabbit person with a fierce expression. The thin one had a pair of clever eyes. He was an elf. He was bent over and his eyes kept glancing around from time to time. He looked a little shifty-eyed. These two were not even body fundamentalists. They were just ordinary body refinement cultivators. The light on their bodies was so light that it was almost white. After Mo Xiaobai saw them, the two obviously saw Mo Xiaobai as well. The bodies of the two men trembled at the same time. The skinny elf let out a cry of alarm and shrank back. The fat rabbit human was obviously more courageous. He asked in a gruff voice, "Who are you?" Mo Xiaobai could still hear the slight tremor in his voice. Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes when he saw the frightened look on their faces. If it was any other time, he might be in the mood to tease them. But now he was waiting for the treasure to appear. He did not have that much time. He was just about to go up and knock them out when he suddenly stopped. His muscles tensed up and he looked at the two thieves expressionlessly. Behind the thin elf, strands of black and red light intertwined together appeared. The black and red rays of light circled around the skinny elf and slowly approached Mo Xiaobai. The skinny elf didn't seem to feel anything and still had a nervous expression. Mo Xiaobai's heart beat violently. His muscles were tense and his heart was full of shock. He found that there was nothing where the black and red light were. It was as if a piece of air was floating toward him. At the same time, he felt an extremely strong sense of malice from where the black and red light were. This malice was so strong that it made his stomach twitch, and he felt a little nauseous. This situation was too strange. Mo Xiaobai's scalp went numb and his entire body felt like it was being pricked by needles. In his vision, there was only the intertwining light and he could not even feel his own heartbeat. What the hell was this? Why couldn't he see a shadow? P.S. Thank you Winter Dream, Lang Wuxia, Book Friend 20190207230957899, Tatar for the tips, thank you. Chapter 31. Wait a minute. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai's mind flashed as he guessed something. Thinking of this possibility, Mo Xiaobai felt a chill in his heart. His mouth felt dry and his mind went blank. It couldn't be, right? How could he be so unlucky? Looking at the black and red light quietly approaching him, Mo Xiaobai didn't have time to think. He suppressed the fear in his heart as a cold malevolence flashed through his eyes. When the light was about 2 meters away from Mo Xiaobai, his tense body suddenly moved. The gray stone heavy sword appeared in his right hand without warning. At the same time, the force in his origin aperture erupted and poured into his body. His right foot suddenly took a step forward. Boom! Fine cracks appeared on the bluestone floor, and a dull sound echoed in the small path. Mo Xiaobai's face was ferocious as he held the heavy sword with both hands and injected spiritual force into it. 3 consecutive slashes. A white light surrounded the gray stone heavy sword. The white light flashed 3 times in the dark night and slashed towards the light. Chi! 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 The sound of 3 blades piercing flesh rang out. Then, 3 streams of purplish-black blood shot out from the originally empty air and splattered on the limestone floor and the wall. At the same time, a black shadow twisted in the originally empty air, and a figure slowly emerged. It was a huge black dog with a shoulder height of about 1.5 meters. The big dog had deep black skin. There was no hair on its skin, and it looked extremely smooth. One could see the bulging muscles on its body. Its eyes were blood-red and flickered with the strangest and most evil light in the world. It was filled with extreme malice. There was also a spiral black horn 10 centimeters long on top of the big dog's head. The moment he saw the big dog, Mo Xiao Bai's pupils contracted violently. His body tensed up and he gripped the heavy sword in his hand, as if he was facing a great enemy. As expected, it was the Shadow Demon Hound. Damn it! How could there be a demon here? Mo Xiao Bai's scalp went numb, as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over him. His whole body felt cold. A demon actually appeared in Pingxi Town? Roar! The Shadow Demon Hound opened its mouth and growled, showing its yellow, ferocious teeth. Thick saliva dripped from the corner of its mouth. Its blood-red eyes flashed with a strong evil intent as it stared at Mo Xiao Bai. A faint black light flashed around its body. Mo Xiao Bai looked at the Shadow Demon Hound, sweat dripping down his forehead. Demons had always been the symbol of cruelty and terror. Even if the Shadow Demon Hound was just an ordinary demon hound, it was still extremely powerful. This was the first time Mo Xiao Bai had encountered a demon, and his heart was beating like a drum. Roar! At this moment, the Shadow Demon Hound let out a low growl. It stomped on the ground and turned into a black shadow, pouncing towards Mo Xiao Bai. Its right claw sliced through the night sky, aiming for Mo Xiao Bai's neck. Mo Xiao Bai's body tensed up. He twisted his waist and leaned to the side, blocking with his heavy sword. Clang! The Shadow Demon Hound's sharp claws collided with the heavy sword, creating a deafening sound. Mo Xiao Bai felt a huge force coming from the heavy sword. His expression changed, and his body involuntarily retreated. Tiny cracks appeared on the ground, and he only stopped after taking 5 or 6 steps back. However, what surprised Mo Xiao Bai was that, after the Shadow Demon Hound's attack, it actually staggered when it landed on the ground. It lost its balance and almost fell down. Moreover, the black light around the Shadow Demon Hound's body dimmed slightly, and it was no longer as dark as before. His heart skipped a beat, and he widened his eyes in shock. Had the Shadow Demon Hound become weaker? What was going on? At this moment, Mo Xiao Bai discovered that there were 3 bone-deep wounds on the Shadow Demon Hound's right leg and right shoulder. After the attack just now, its wounds were torn open, and streams of purplish-black blood slowly flowed out, flowing down its right leg and onto the ground. It was the 3 consecutive slashes from before. Mo Xiao Bai was pleasantly surprised. The 3 consecutive slashes from before had hurt it, and it was quite a serious injury. If that was the case, Mo Xiao Bai narrowed his eyes. Did this mean that he had a chance of killing this Shadow Demon Hound? He was very confident that this Shadow Demon Hound was the culprit, and the Adventurers Guild still had a mission related to this guy. As long as he could kill it, he would be able to obtain an elite origin skill crystal and 500 origin crystals. Mo Xiao Bai's heartbeat sped up, and the way he looked at the Shadow Demon Hound changed. He wasn't completely without a chance. Taking advantage of the Shadow Demon Hound's pause, Mo Xiao Bai held the heavy sword in his right hand, and took out a blood-colored medicine with his left. He opened the bottle with one hand and poured the medicine into his mouth. As soon as the strength medicine entered his stomach, Mo Xiao Bai felt a strange energy in his body that increased his physical strength by more than 10%. He didn't even have time to rejoice before the Shadow Demon Hound, which had stabilized its body, pounced at him again. This time, the Shadow Demon Hound used its left claw. Moreover, there was a faint flicker of black light on its left claw. It was much more threatening than before, and Mo Xiao Bai's hairs stood on end. He tensed his body, and with a low growl, origin power surged, and the heavy sword flashed with white light. Triple slash. Clang clang clang. The 3 heavy slashes landed on the Shadow Demon Hound's left claw, and sparks flew everywhere, dancing in the dark night. Mo Xiaobai and the Shadow Demon Hound both took a few steps back. Mo Xiaobai stabilized his body, but the Shadow Demon Hound's right leg tilted, and it lost its balance again. Now was the time. Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed with killing intent, and his legs bent slightly, turning into a blur as he rushed forward. He held the heavy sword with both hands, and raised it above his head, white light flashing on the blade. Triple slash. 3 white lights flashed in the dark night, and the Shadow Demon Hound growled as it tried to dodge. However, because its body had lost its balance, its movements had become distorted and slow. Chi chi chi. The 3 slashes landed heavily on the Shadow Demon Hound's head. A large gash appeared on the Shadow Demon Hound's head, and purplish-black blood gushed out. Whoa! It let out a low and painful whine, and its body fell heavily to the ground. Its body struggled on the ground, and its limbs twitched before it lost all signs of life. Mo Xiaobai watched the black light on the Shadow Demon Hound's body slowly disappear, and he let out a small breath, his eyes still filled with fear. Fortunately, he had been able to see the light on this guy's body from the beginning, otherwise he wouldn't even know how he died. The Shadow Demon Hound was a Shadow Demon Hound, and it could turn invisible. If he didn't have a way to guard against invisible origin skills, then he would be extremely lucky to be alive after encountering the Shadow Demon Hound. Speaking of which, he had clearly come to look for treasure, so why had he encountered such a dangerous demon? Mo Xiaobai didn't feel good at all. At this moment, a faint blue light flashed on the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse. Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened, and he stared at the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse. Chapter 32. Rare Grade. Mo Xiaobai's heart pounded violently. This Shadow Demon Hound was a high-grade rank 1 demon, so the item it produced was clearly also rank 1. It was actually a rank 1 rare material. Mo Xiaobai watched expectantly as the Shadow Demon Hound's flesh continued to shrink. Soon after, its flesh began to crack open like dried mud, and its spine slowly emerged from its back. Ka as it absorbed the flesh's energy, the spine continued to change, as if a great and mysterious power was constantly shaping it. Finally, it formed a pitch-black sword made entirely of bones. This black bone sword was about 1.5 meters long, and its body was wide. The blade was black and sharp, and there were strange light gray veined patterns on the back of the sword, giving it a deep and mysterious feeling. After the black bone sword was completely formed, the blue light on the black bone sword slowly receded. Mo Xiaobai looked at the black bone sword, his eyes wide and his breathing rapid. Heaven-grade equipment. Powerful demon beasts and demons could directly produce equipment, but the chances were not as high as origin skills. This kind of equipment was not man-made. It was as if heaven and earth had cast it. It could be said to be flawless, and it made the greatest use of extraordinary materials. Even the most powerful blacksmiths would find it difficult to create such perfect equipment. This kind of equipment was called heaven-grade equipment, equipment made by the heavens. Who would have thought that this Shadow Demon Hound would directly produce heaven-grade equipment, and a rare-grade sword-type equipment at that? It was just right for him. Mo Xiaobai hurriedly picked up the black bone sword. There were veined patterns on the bone sword's hilt, and it was very easy to hold. The moment he grasped the sword, a powerful energy flowed from the black bone sword into his body. Mo Xiaobai felt his pure strength increase by nearly 20%, and his bones and organs became more resilient and strong. Even the explosive power of his muscles and his body's flexibility had increased. His physical strength had increased in all aspects. Mo Xiaobai was pleasantly surprised. Moreover, the black bone sword's weight was very suitable for him. Mo Xiao Bai lightly brandished the black bone sword. The pitch-black sharp blade cut through the air like a shadow in the dark night. It was silent, but it contained a fierce killing intent. He even felt that the speed at which he swung his sword had increased. How convenient! Mo Xiao Bai caressed the black bone sword lovingly. This was the best sword-type weapon he had ever encountered. In comparison, the gray stone sword was far inferior. After all, it was a piece of heavenly forged equipment. Even the most outstanding equipment blacksmith might not be able to forge such a piece of equipment, let alone an ordinary blacksmith. Just this black bone sword alone could increase his combat strength by 30%, or even close to 40%. It should be much stronger than ordinary rare-ranked weapons. I'll give it a name. Mo Xiao Bai stroked the spine of the sword and pondered. Since it was a heavy sword made from the spine of a shadow demon hound, he decided to call it the demon hound's spine heavy sword. After putting away the demon hound's spine, he once again looked at the shadow demon hound's corpse on the ground. In addition to the demon hound's spine heavy sword, there were also 25 origin crystals and a pair of pitch-black claws. These claws flickered with a faint green light. They were extraordinary materials at the elite level. Mo Xiao Bai picked up everything. What a good harvest! Mo Xiao Bai was in a good mood. But why hadn't that pie fallen from the sky yet? Mo Xiao Bai frowned and turned to look at the red ray of light. However, he was shocked when he saw it. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened. He realized that the originally dazzling red light had gradually dimmed and soon turned white. Mo Xiao Bai. A question mark slowly appeared in Mo Xiao Bai's mind. A thought flashed through his mind as he came up with a guess. Could it be that the pie that fell from the sky was this shadow demon hound? Wasn't this pie a bit too big? Mo Xiao Bai felt his scalp go numb. If it wasn't for his strength, he would have been dead by now, all right? Wait a minute. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened as he came up with another guess. Could this ray of light have calculated that he would be able to kill this shadow demon hound? Otherwise, this red ray of light should have turned black. Mo Xiao Bai sucked in a breath of cold air. This ray of light really was mysterious. Right, there was also the corpse. Mo Xiao Bai remembered that the Adventurers Guild had a mission related to the murderer. The rewards for that mission were exceptionally generous, and there was even an elite origin crystal. Although he didn't know whether or not this shadow demon hound was the murderer of those murders, he would take it to the Adventurers Guild tomorrow and ask them about it. Just as Mo Xiao Bai was about to put away the corpse, he suddenly heard something fall to the ground. He raised his head and saw two figures not too far away. It was the two thieves. Their faces were pale as they stared at the shadow demon hound's corpse in horror. The skinny elf was sitting on the ground. Presumably, the sound of falling to the ground was made by him. It was the two of them. Mo Xiao Bai had almost forgotten about them. Now that he was in a good mood, he couldn't help but smile at the two of them. You haven't left yet? Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the fat and skinny elves quivered. The skinny elf even let out a strange sound of fear. The two of them looked at Mo Xiao Bai with fear and respect. The skinny elf shrieked, "Da, da, 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 da. Spare me!" The fat rabbit man could no longer stand. His legs gave way and he fell to his knees. His voice trembled as he said, My lord, we're just passing by." Mo Xiao Bai looked at their frightened faces and couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. His forehead was full of black lines. He wasn't a demon, so why was she so afraid of him? He smiled and said, "Passing by? Aren't you here to steal something?" Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, the two of them trembled violently as if they had been doused with ice water in winter. They immediately fell to the ground. The fat rabbit man was terrified. "My lord, please spare us. We won't dare to do it again." The skinny elf broke down and cried, "My lord, we were wrong. Don't kill us." Mo Xiao Bai, who said he was going to kill them? He was just about to speak when the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. 4 figures quickly approached and surrounded Mo Xiao Bai and the other 2. Mo Xiao Bai's pupils contracted violently and his body tensed up. So fast. These people were at least at the high level of 2 apertures. "You've been surrounded. Don't move." A cold voice sounded. The 4 people slowly approached and Mo Xiao Bai could see their faces clearly. A barbarian middle-aged man, a night creature woman, a human woman, and a merman. All 4 of them wore blue uniforms with white stripe. There was even a long sword embroidered on their chest. At this moment, all 4 of their expressions were extremely cold. They frowned when they saw the fat rabbit man and skinny elf lying on the ground. However, when they saw Mo Xiao Bai, they couldn't help but be stunned. When they saw the withered corpse of the shadow demon hound not far from Mo Xiao Bai's feet, their pupils contracted violently. Shadow demon hound? The human woman with long flowing black hair cried out in surprise. Everyone immediately focused their attention on Mo Xiao Bai. Chapter 33. Captain. The night creature girl's ruby-like eyes flashed as she looked at Mo Xiao Bai. Her body was tense, and she was in the most suitable state to attack. It was as long as Mo Xiao Bai made the slightest move, she would immediately attack. "Xian, don't be so nervous." The middle-aged barbarian waved his hand and looked deeply at Mo Xiao Bai. His resolute face with a full beard was covered by a layer of shadow under the night sky. His brown eyes looked at Mo Xiao Bai and said slowly, "Young man, who are you?" Mo Xiao Bai felt the stares of the 4 people with at least 2 apertures open. His heart sank as he felt a strong pressure. However, the light around the 4 of them was white, so they should be harmless to him. Mo Xiao Bai was relieved. He thought for a while and said, "I'm Mo Xiao Bai, a third-year student of Moonlight Middle School." "You're still a third-year student?" The 4 of them did not expect Mo Xiao Bai's answer. They were stunned. They did not expect Mo Xiao Bai to be so young. The few of them looked at Mo Xiao Bai's somewhat young face and chose to believe him. After all, there was no way to hide something like this when they investigated. Mo Xiao Bai could feel their bodies relax a little. Mo Xiao Bai raised his eyebrows. "Then who are you?" The barbarian man said slowly, "We're Azure Edge." "Azure Edge?" Mo Xiao Bai's eyes widened as he looked at the 4 of them. Surprise flashed across his eyes. Azure Edge was the Empire's law enforcer. They specialized in dealing with demons, evil gods, and evil cults. They belonged to the Empire's military, which was higher than the guards. The people inside were all elites. Most of them had heard of Azure Edge, but not many had seen them in person. After all, demons, evil gods, and evil cults rarely appeared in public. Once it appeared in public, it would be a big deal. Thinking of this, Mo Xiao Bai glanced at the shadow demon hound's corpse and revealed a look of understanding. They must be here for the Umbra Demon Hound. Maybe they were the ones who issued the Adventurers Guild's mission? As expected, the barbarian man looked at Mo Xiao Bai and said gently, "Mo Xiao Bai, did you see who killed the Umbra Demon Hound?" Mo Xiao Bai's expression was a little strange. He pointed at himself. "I killed it." The 4 members were stunned when they heard Mo Xiao Bai's words. They looked at Mo Xiao Bai with strange expressions. The merman with shoulder-length blue hair seemed to have heard a funny joke, and he said with a smile, "You? How is that possible?" The woman looked at Mo Xiao Bai and smiled. "Little brother, this isn't a joke." Mo Xiao Bai said expressionlessly, "I'm not joking. Is there anyone else here other than me and them?" Mo Xiao Bai pointed at the fat rabbit human and thin elves who were trembling and did not dare make a sound. The 4 were speechless. They looked at each other with strange expressions. They still couldn't believe it. The shadow demon hound that possessed the power of shadow could even kill a 2-apertured expert with a sneak attack. But what about Mo Xiao Bai? He was only a 1-chakra powerhouse. Not only that, he was only a third-year high school student. His cultivation shouldn't be high. Even if it was a head-on battle, he shouldn't be a match for the Umbra Demon Hound. No one would believe that Emo Xiao Bai was the one who killed the Umbra Demon Hound. The barbarian said slowly, Emo Xiao Bai, how did you kill the Umbra Demon Hound? The Umbra Demon Hound can turn invisible. Hearing this, Emo Xiao Bai kicked the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse and smiled embarrassedly. This guy's malice towards me is too strong. I took advantage of the time when it wanted to ambush me and ambushed it. The 4 members of Blue Edge were speechless. There were already a few words written on their faces. Like hell we'll believe you. If it was that easy, how could the Umbra Demon Hound attack others? Night creature Xian Xian looked at the Umbra Demon Hound's corpse and then at Emo Xiao Bai. Normal people who just became a body fundamentalist can't attack the Umbra Demon Hound. Emo Xiao Bai looked at Xian Xian in confusion. Who said I'm a body fundamentalist? I'm already at level 4 with 1 chakra. What? The 4 of them were shocked. Their eyes widened as they looked at Emo Xiao Bai in disbelief. A third-year high school student in Pingxi Town who could break through to 1 chakra was already considered a top genius. Emo Xiao Bai said he was already at level 4 with 1 chakra? How was that possible? You're really at level 4 with 1 chakra? The merman asked in disbelief. Emo Xiao Bai rolled his eyes and released his aura. The 4 of them held their breaths as they looked at Emo Xiao Bai in shock. It's true. The barbarian's gaze turned gentle as he looked at Emo Xiao Bai. The human girl smiled and said, Pingxi Town hasn't had a genius like you for over 100 years. Little brother, you're really talented. Indeed. Even the merman who doubted him had to admit that Emo Xiao Bai's talent was terrifying. Emo Xiao Bai smiled embarrassedly. You're too kind. Seniors, you're flattering me. However, even if you're already at level 4 with 1 chakra, you shouldn't be able to sneak up on the Umbra Demon Hound. Emo Xiao Bai smiled and said, I used a rare grade origin skill. The 4 of them held their breaths again. Rare grade origin skill. Even they only had 1 or 2 rare grade origin skills. But this third-year high school student already had 1? Emo Xiao Bai thought of something and took out the elite demon hound's claws. Oh right, this is the material extracted from the Umbra Demon Hound. I was planning to keep the Umbra Demon Hound's carcass to complete a mission at the Adventurers Guild. He glanced at the 4 enforcers from Azure Edge. You guys were the ones who issued the mission regarding the murderer, right? The 4 enforcers from Azure Edge looked at the Demon Hound's claws in Emo Xiao Bai's hands and confirmed their suspicions. These were indeed the Umbra Demon Hound's claws. They then looked at the Umbra Demon Hound's carcass. The claws were indeed extracted, and there seemed to be other materials extracted as well. However, they didn't ask any questions. After confirming that Emo Xiao Bai was the one who killed the Umbra Demon Hound, they were even more shocked. This was a Umbra Demon Hound. It was actually killed by a third-year high school student. This was truly unbelievable. When he heard Emo Xiao Bai mention the mission, the barbarian nodded with a smile. Indeed, that mission was issued by Azure Edge. Xian Xian, go check if it's this beast. The night creature girl, Xian Xian, came to Emo Xiao Bai's side and smiled kindly at Emo Xiao Bai. Then, she squatted in front of the Umbra Demon Hound's carcass and took out a device to fiddle with. Soon, her face lit up with joy. She stood up and nodded at the barbarian. Captain, it really is this Umbra Demon Hound. Emo Xiao Bai was overjoyed. It seemed like the reward was in his hands. P.S. Thank you Mian_Yang, Idiot Xiao for the reward, thank you big brother. Chapter 34. Very good. The middle-aged barbarian smiled when he heard Xian Xian's words. The human woman and merman heaved a sigh of relief. The barbarian man looked at Emo Xiao Bai with gratitude. Emo Xiao Bai, thank you so much. This shadow demon hound is very cunning and has the ability to hide. We've been chasing it for a few days and it escaped every time. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid it would have escaped again. Mo Xiaobai smiled and shook his head. You're welcome. It attacked me first. The 4 experts from Azure Edge twitched the corners of their mouth. The shadow demon hound probably died with its eyes wide open. The barbarian man looked at the shadow demon hound's corpse and continued, as for the mission, Xiao Bai, why don't you come with us to the Adventurers Guild, and we'll complete the mission? Mo Xiao Bai naturally had no objections. He nodded. All right. Then, Xian put away the shadow demon hound's corpse while the merman and woman cleaned up the scene. After dealing with the matter, the group was about to leave when they suddenly saw the fat rabbit person and skinny elf, who were still trembling and not daring to make a sound. The middle-aged barbarian asked in confusion, "Who are these two?" When Mo Xiaobai heard this, he said, "The 2 of them are thieves. They were planning to enter here to steal something." Mo Xiaobai pointed at the office building. The powerhouses of the Azure Edge frowned and looked at the fat rabbit human and the skinny elf. Sensing their gazes, the fat rabbit man and the skinny elf trembled even more violently. The skinny elf, in particular, could not help but whimper. The barbarian man said coldly, "Kai Yen, take them to the magistrate's office." The human woman with long black hair nodded. She glanced coldly at the trembling skinny elf and fat rabbit person before grabbing them by the collar and dragging them away. The barbarian turned his head and smiled at Mo Xiaobai. "All right, let's go." Yes. The members of Azure Edge had their own vehicles. It was an armored vehicle covered in blue and white metal with a large interior. After getting into the armored vehicle, the merman drove the vehicle toward the Adventurers Guild. Along the way, Mo Xiaobai conversed with the middle-aged barbarian and the others. The middle-aged barbarian was called Wu Liang, the captain of a combat squad from Pingxi Town's Azure Edge. The mermaid was called Sun Wenshan, the night creature girl was called Lin Xianxian, and the human girl who led the 2 thieves to the public security office was called Li Kaiyan. All 3 of them were Wu Liang's team members. They chatted casually and soon arrived at the Adventurers Guild. They did not do their business at the counter in the main hall. Instead, Wu Liang led Mo Xiaobai through a side door and arrived in front of an office. Wu Liang knocked on the office door, and a voice that Mo Xiaobai was familiar with came from inside. "Come in." Wu Liang opened the door and walked in. Mo Xiaobai, Lin Xianxian, and Sun Wenshan followed behind him. Inside the office, Bu Bai, who had gray spiky hair and a sturdy body, was sitting on a chair. When he saw Wu Liang enter, he stood up and smiled. "Yo, Brother Wu, why are you here?" Then, as if he thought of something, he paused and continued, "Are you here to ask about the mission?" Wu Liang grinned and said, "This time, I'm not here to ask about the mission. I'm here to submit the mission." "Submit the mission?" Bu Bai was stunned. "Then," he asked in surprise, "someone completed the mission? Why didn't I receive any news?" "Yes, someone did complete it. The murderer was a shadow demon hound." Wu Liang pointed at Mo Xiaobai behind him. "He was the one who killed the shadow demon hound." Bu Bai turned to look behind Wu Liang. When he saw Mo Xiaobai, his eyes widened and he was stunned. Mo Xiaobai didn't expect Bu Bai to be here. However, after thinking about it, Bu Bai was the manager of the Adventurers Guild. It was reasonable for Wu Liang to come to him to submit the mission. He laughed dryly and nodded to Bu Bai. "Manager Bu, long time no see." Bu Bai came back to his senses and exclaimed, "Xiao Bai? Why is it you?" Wu Liang, Lin Xianxian, and Sun Wenshan were stunned by their reactions. Wu Liang looked at Bu Bai and then at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. "You guys know each other?" Bu Bai rolled his eyes and said, "Mo Xiaobai is Captain Mo's son." "Captain Mo?" Wu Liang was stunned. Then, he thought of something and revealed a look of realization. "Captain Mo's son?" "Yes." Bu Bai nodded. Wu Liang looked at Mo Xiaobai again and patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. He grinned. "I didn't expect you to be Captain Mo's son. You've really surpassed your father. Your future achievements will definitely surpass your father's. Although Wu Liang and the other two had praised Mo Xiaobai many times in the car, Mo Xiaobai was still a little embarrassed. He laughed dryly and said, "Captain Wu, you're too kind." Bu Bai looked at Mo Xiaobai and said in shock, "You're saying that the Shadow Demon Hound was killed by Xiaobai?" Wu Liang nodded and signaled to Lin Xianxian, who was secretly looking at Mo Xiaobai. Lin Xianxian took out the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse. Bu Bai looked at the Shadow Demon Hound's corpse and his pupils contracted. He looked at the Shadow Demon Hound and then looked at Mo Xiaobai. His eyes were full of shock. He knew that the last time Mo Xiaobai came to the Adventurers Guild was only half a month ago. At that time, Mo Xiaobai had just become a martial fundamentalist and came to register as an adventurer. He didn't expect that in just half a month, Mo Xiaobai could already kill the Shadow Demon Hound. Wasn't this speed of improvement a little too exaggerated? While Bu Bai was still in shock, Wu Liang smiled and said, "Okay, Brother Bu, the mission is complete. Let's submit the mission to Xiaobai." Bu Bai came back to his senses and nodded. Okay. Then, he smiled at Mo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, give me your adventurer badge." Mo Xiaobai took out his badge and handed it to Bu Bai. Bu Bai walked over to a device similar to the one Mo Xiaobai saw at the counter last time. As he operated it, he said, "This mission is a bronze mission. Xiaobai, you can choose to earn 20 iron adventurer points or consider it as completing a bronze mission. When you want to become a bronze adventurer, you only need to complete 2 more bronze missions." Bronze mission? Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He didn't expect the mission to be so high level. He thought for a moment and said, "Give me 20 points then." He wasn't at the time to become a bronze adventurer yet. When he became a bronze adventurer, he would be much stronger than he was now and completing bronze missions wouldn't be too difficult. Bu Bai nodded and operated the device. After a beep, Mo Xiaobai's points became 22. Bu Bai looked at Mo Xiaobai's mission record and looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. This guy actually obtained 2 elite-grade materials before this? Were the youngsters these days so terrifying? He sighed in his heart and said with a smile, "Okay, Brother Wu, just take out the reward." Wu Liang nodded and looked at Mo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, what kind of origin crystal do you want?" Chapter 35. While Wu Liang was speaking, Bu Bai was already operating the device. After a few taps, rows of origin skill crystals appeared on the screen. Bu Bai grinned. Come take a look. These are the elite origin skill crystals of our Pingxi Town Adventurers Guild." Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up as he walked over to take a look at the screen. There were many types of origin skill crystals inside, including attack types, defense types, speed types, body tempering types, and even a few special innate origin skill crystals. However, innate origin skill crystals required a corresponding innate talent to be used. Mo Xiaobai had Titan Spirit Strength, but he didn't have an origin skill crystal. He began to think. His current offensive ability was the rare origin skill Triple Slash, which was already powerful enough. However, Triple Slash consumed a lot of energy. Even though he was already at 1 aperture level 4, he could only use it about 10 times. If he had an origin skill crystal that consumed less energy, it would naturally be better. However, this wasn't necessary. He was still lacking in other areas. Mo Xiaobai planned to choose a speed-type origin skill crystal. He set his gaze on the origin skill crystal. Swift movement. An elite speed origin skill. When it was perfected, it could increase one's speed by about 20%. Moreover, as long as one had enough origin power, they could be used continuously. This was very effective in both running and fighting. After making his decision, Mo Xiaobai pointed at the swift movement origin skill crystal and smiled. "I'll choose this one." Everyone glanced at the origin skill crystal Mo Xiao Bai had chosen. Bu Bai grinned. Not bad, swift movement has a wide range of uses. It's very useful for the current you. Wu Liang nodded. Yes, this origin skill is quite good. Bu Bai smiled. I just happen to have one left in stock. I'll go get it. As he spoke, Bu Bai left the room. Very quickly, he returned with a green rhombus-shaped crystal in his hand. It really was a swift movement origin skill crystal. Here. Mo Xiao Bai took the origin skill crystal from Bu Bai and pressed it against his forehead. His head swelled as streams of knowledge regarding Fleetfoot flowed into his mind. A moment later, he slowly opened his eyes and exhaled. How is it? Bu Bai looked at Mo Xiao Bai and grinned. A trace of excitement flashed through Mo Xiao Bai's eyes as he nodded. Yes, that's a pretty good origin skill. With this swift movement origin skill, he could attack or retreat. His combat strength had increased by a large margin. Wu Liang produced another pile of origin crystals and said with a smile, Here are 500 origin crystals. Mo Xiao Bai kept it. Thank you, Captain Wu. Wu Liang laughed out loud. I should be the one thanking you. Otherwise, who knows how many more people would have died in the hands of this beast. He glanced at the shadow demon hound on the ground. Mo Xiao Bai laughed. I wouldn't dare. Then I'll go back first. If I don't go back this late, my parents must be worried about me. Upon hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Wu Liang nodded. Then I'll get Wenshan to send you off. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes lit up as he nodded. All right, then I'll have to trouble brother Wenshan. It was naturally good to have a free ride. Son Wenshan grinned and flicked his long hair. It's no trouble at all. Let's go. The two of them left the office. Bu Bai and Wu Liang watched Mo Xiao Bai's departing figure. After a moment of silence, Wu Liang asked, Brother Bu, you've known Mo Xiao Bai for a long time. What do you think of him? Bu Bai was silent for a moment. His eyes flashed, then he slowly said, I'm afraid that Pingxi Town will have a young dragon in this year's college entrance exam. Wu Liang and Lin Xianxian, who was listening quietly at the side, were stunned. Both of them widened their eyes in shock. Wu Liang said in disbelief, He's that strong? Bu Bai saw their shocked expressions and smiled. Do you know what his cultivation level was when I saw him half a month ago? What cultivation level? A new martial body fundamentalist, level 1 with 1 aperture. Gasp! Wu Liang and Lin Xianxian gasped. Wu Liang was in disbelief. He's already at level 4 with 1 aperture. In just half a month, he advanced by 3 levels? That's ridiculous. Bu Bai smiled and said, That's why they say he's a young dragon. There's still half a month left. I think this kid will probably reach level 5 with 1 aperture. Wu Liang and Lin Xianxian's eyes flashed and they fell silent. Lin Xianxian said excitedly, I didn't expect Xiao Bai to be so strong. Pingxi Town is going to be famous this time. Wu Liang and Bu Bai both nodded. Wu Liang nodded. Yes, that's not all. I'm afraid next year's allocation of education resources will also increase by a lot. Bu Bai sighed with envy. I'm so envious of old Mo for having such an outstanding son. This is fortune. Don't think about it, Brother Bu. You're still single at this age. Why are you thinking about this? You should think about how to find a wife. Bu Bai was furious. Are you itching for a beating? Sun Wenshan drove Mo Xiao Bai to a place not far from the entrance of Anha district. Mo Xiao Bai said, Brother Wenshan, I'm here. Let's stop here. Sun Wenshan stopped the car. Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, Thank you, Brother Wenshan. Sun Wenshan flicked his hair and smiled. You're welcome. I was just about to pick up Kai Yen. Mo Xiao Bai was speechless. He suddenly felt that Sun Wenshan's smile was a little flirtatious. He revealed an awkward but polite smile and waved at him. He then turned and ran towards the entrance of the district. The street lights at the entrance of the district were very bright. Mo Xiaobai saw 4 figures standing at the entrance as soon as he ran over. 3 adults and 1 child. When he got closer, Mo Xiaobai saw Mo Yu and Mu Yuju's cold faces. There was also a faint gray light floating around their bodies. His heart skipped a beat and his scalp went numb. I'm done for. Is there danger? I won't be beaten up, right? He hesitated. He didn't know if he should run away now. When Mo Xiaobai saw Mo Yu and Mu Yuju, they naturally saw Mo Xiaobai as well. Mo Yu said coldly, Mo Xiaobai, you also know to come back? Mo Xiaobai's hair stood on end. He felt that Mo Yu was even scarier than the shadow demon hound. He slowly walked over and saw their cold faces. He turned to look at Ning Ran and Ning Feng, wanting to ask for help. However, Ning Feng was expressionless. He didn't have his usual smile. There was even a faint gray light floating around his body. He silently looked at Ning Ran. Ning Ran had a white light, but when he saw Mo Xiaobai looking over, he shrunk his neck and looked away. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. TSK, this disloyal guy. When I, Mo Xiaobai, escape this, I'll definitely double this guy's training. No, double. At this moment, Ning Feng frowned and said, Xiaobai, why are you back so late? Your parents were worried sick about you. They searched all the streets from the neighborhood to the school. Mo Xiaobai looked at Mo Yu and Mu Yuju's cold faces and felt warmth in his heart. He laughed dryly and said, I was just delayed outside. Before he could finish, Mu Yuju pinched his ear and said, Go back to where you came from. Mo Xiaobai grimaced. Mom, it hurts. My ear is going to fall off. He was led in the direction of home. Mo Yu looked at Mo Xiaobai and sighed in relief. Then, she smiled apologetically at Ning Feng. Brother Ning Feng, sorry to trouble you to wait with us. Ning Feng grinned. It's okay. Xiaobai has been teaching Xiao Ran body tempering recently. I haven't had the chance to thank him. Mo Yu laughed. Then, she looked at Ning Feng and was a little surprised. Brother Ning Feng, it seems like you're going to break through to the 3rd aperture. Congratulations. Ning Feng laughed even more happily. Ha, you've been stuck for almost 10 years, haven't you? After such a long time, you'll definitely break through. Mo Yu smiled and nodded. Then, he patted Ning Feng's shoulder. Remember to treat us after you break through. No problem. Mo Yu grinned. Okay, I should go back and teach that kid a lesson. It's so dangerous at night, and he dares to wander around outside. I'm afraid I'll beat him to death today. Ning Feng laughed dryly. Go easy on him. Ning Ran shrunk his neck and did not dare to speak. P.S. Thank you Chinchensi, Mion_Yang, Feiyue and Machine and Wu Mortal for your tips, thank you. Chapter 36. When they got home, Mu Yuju let go of Mo Xiaobai's ear. Mo Xiaobai rubbed his ear and kept sucking in cold air. His ear was burning and it hurt so much that tears were about to come out of his eyes. He was about to speak when Mu Yuju's eyes reddened. She hugged him and said in a trembling voice, You little brat, you worried me to death. Mo Xiaobai's body stiffened and he felt his eyes sting. He said apologetically, Sorry Mom, I made you worry. Mu Yuju let go of Mo Xiaobai and looked at Mo Xiaobai. Seeing that he was fine, she heaved a sigh of relief and said, It's good that you're fine. Mo Xiaobai scratched his head. What could have happened to me? Mom, don't worry. At this moment, Mo Yu walked into the house and closed the door. She looked coldly at Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai, do you know how dangerous it is at night? What would you do if you met the culprit? Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai laughed dryly and said, That? I've already killed that murderer. Hearing this, Mo Yu and Mu Yuju held their breaths as they looked at Mo Xiaobai in confusion. Mu Yuju said, You're saying you met the culprit? Mo Xiaobai nodded. Yeah, I came back so late because I met the culprit. It was a shadow demon hound. It wanted to sneak up on me, but I killed it. Mu Yuju. When they heard that Mo Xiaobai had encountered a shadow demon hound, both of them sucked in a breath of cold air and widened their eyes. The two of them looked at each other and their faces were filled with shock and fear. That was a shadow demon hound. It was already fortunate that Mo Xiaobai was still alive, what more that he had managed to kill him. Mo Yu looked at Mo Xiaobai and said in disbelief, "You actually killed a shadow demon hound?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. "That's right." "Oh right." He thought of something and took out the devil hound's spine épée and a pair of devil hound's claws. He said happily, "That guy also got a rare grade heavenly forged épée and a pair of elite grade devil hound's claws." The two of them looked at the devil hound's spine in Mo Xiaobai's hands and the devil hound's claws that were flashing with green light. Their minds were filled with question marks. The corner of Mo Yu's mouth twitched. A Tier 1 heavenly forged weapon. Everyone was dumbfounded. Although he already knew that Mo Xiaobai's luck was unbelievably good when he followed Mo Xiaobai to the Greystone Hills, wasn't this still a little too much? He had only opened the first aperture, and he had obtained such a good weapon? A Tier 1 heavenly forged weapon, it should be very rare in the entire empire, right? Mu Yuzhu also looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression. She rubbed her forehead. "We were worried about you, but you brat, you actually killed the culprit without a sound." At this moment, Mo Yu thought of something and asked, "That's right, you said that the shadow demon hound was the culprit?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes, I also ran into people from Azure Edge and followed them to the Adventurers Guild to get my reward." Mo Xiaobai roughly explained what had happened. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu listened quietly, nodding from time to time. When they heard that Mo Xiaobai had chosen a speed-type Fleetfoot origin skill as his reward, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu both expressed their approval. Mu Yuzhu smiled and said, "Fleetfoot is a pretty good origin skill. I have it too." Mo Xiaobai was somewhat surprised. He didn't think that his mother would have this skill as well. Very quickly, Mo Xiaobai recounted everything that had happened. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu's feelings were quite complicated. After a moment of silence, Mu Yuzhu smiled and said, "Looks like you've really grown up." Mo Yu nodded. After seeing Mo Xiaobai's performance at the Greystone Hills, he felt that perhaps he didn't need to worry about Mo Xiaobai anymore. This time, he was even more shocked. Mo Xiaobai smiled slightly and said, "You don't need to worry. I can understand myself." Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu glanced at each other. Then, Mu Yuzhu smiled and rubbed Mo Xiaobai's hair. She said, "Go take a shower. I'll go heat up the food and get ready to eat." "Okay." Mo Xiaobai didn't dare to resist. He allowed Mu Yuzhu to rub his hair until it was a mess. After responding, he went to take a shower. Seeing Mo Xiaobai's departing figure, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu glanced at each other. Mo Yu grinned and said somewhat excitedly, "He can even kill a rank 1 shadow demon hound. As expected of my son." Mu Yuzhu nodded. "That kid is already rank 4. It looks like he has a high chance of reaching rank 5 before the college entrance exam. When the time comes, as long as he passes the elementary cries trial, he'll be able to enter the big 3, right?" Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were both proud. After eating dinner, Mo Xiaobai returned to his room. He was so excited that he couldn't sleep. Today's harvest was too great. A rank 1 rare heavenly forged heavy sword and an elite Fleetfoot origin skill. This should increase his combat strength by 60 to 70%, right? It might even be more than that. Mo Xiaobai lay on his bed for a long time before calming down and falling asleep. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai finished cultivating and left his room. Mo Yu was sitting on the sofa reading the newspaper with a smile on his face. Mo Xiaobai asked with some confusion, "What's wrong?" Mo Yu chuckled. He pointed at the news on the front page. The title was, "The Serial Killer Has Been Executed." Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. So it's this. He looked at the newspaper. It said that a warm-hearted citizen had encountered a shadow demon hound that was about to commit evil and had killed it. Mo Xiaobai's name wasn't mentioned, but Mo Xiaobai didn't care. He wasn't the kind of person who liked to be in the limelight anyway. Moreover, this involved demons, so it was better not to be in the limelight. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu obviously thought the same. They were very satisfied that Azure Edge didn't announce Mo Xiaobai's name. Thus, the two of them were in a good mood and were full of smiles when it was time to eat. Mo Xiaobai finished his breakfast and went out. In the security room, Mo Xiaobai noticed that Ning Feng was looking at the street tiredly. He asked curiously, "Uncle Ning, what's wrong?" Ning Feng heard Mo Xiaobai's voice and was stunned. He turned around and smiled when he saw Mo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, it's nothing. I've been preparing for a breakthrough." Mo Xiaobai was enlightened. He smiled and said, "Uncle Ning, you're going to break through to the third chakra? Congratulations, Uncle Ning." Ning Feng laughed. "I'll congratulate you after you break through. Are you going to school? Be careful." As he spoke, he opened the door and let Mo Xiaobai out. Mo Xiaobai returned to school and saw that the students were all smiling. They weren't as depressed as before. Obviously, they also knew that the murderer had been executed. He even heard some people discussing who the enthusiastic citizen was. When Mo Xiaobai returned to class, he realized that his classmates were also discussing it. As soon as he returned to his seat, Zheng Dong came over with an excited expression. "Xiaobai, have you heard about it? The killer is a shadow demon hound. It's a real devil. I didn't expect a devil to appear in Pingxi town." Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes, I've heard." Zheng Dong was curious. "I wonder who the enthusiastic citizen is? He could actually kill a shadow demon hound. I heard that a rank 1 shadow demon hound is extremely powerful. That enthusiastic citizen must be a powerhouse too, right?" Mo Xiaobai smiled. "I think so. Maybe he's very young and handsome." Zheng Dong retorted, "I think it must be a devastatingly beautiful woman with unparalleled strength. She passed by Pingxi town and saw this shadow demon hound. That's why she attacked in anger and killed it." Mo Xiaobai was speechless. The smile on his face froze. Looking at Zheng Dong, who had fallen into a strange fantasy, he wanted to take out the demon hound's spine and cut him in half. Chapter 37. Time passed. It was the evening before the college entrance exam. The sun was halfway down the horizon. Under the dim sunlight, the training ground in Anha district was covered in the shadows of trees and buildings. Ning Ran was lying on the limestone ground, panting. His sweat soaked the ground. His young face was scrunched up and he looked like he was about to cry. "Bro Xiaobai, let's call it a day. I really can't take it anymore." Mo Xiaobai stood at the side with his arms crossed. He nodded slightly. "Let's call it a day then." Mo Xiaobai had entered a stable rhythm in the past 2 weeks. He would wake up in the morning to cultivate. After that, he would go to class. After class, he would go straight home. Although the culprit had been killed, Ning Ran still came to find Ning Feng frequently. Mo Xiaobai also continued to teach him physique tempering. Last time, Ning Ran did not speak up for him. Mo Xiaobai did not let him go. He doubled his weight during physique tempering, making Ning Ran cry for his parent. Mo Xiaobai was very happy. Of course, under Mo Xiaobai's pressure, Ning Ran had improved a lot. Even Ning Feng had been thanking him. When Ning Ran heard Mo Xiaobai agree, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He supported his body with his hands and sat up. He looked at Mo Xiaobai. "Bro Xiaobai, the college entrance exam is tomorrow, right?" Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He nodded. "Yes. With Bro Xiaobai's ability, you can definitely get into the big 3. Ning Ran looked at Mo Xiaobai with admiration. Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Kid, it's not that simple. 2 days ago, he had broken through to level 5-1 aperture. His results in the college entrance exam would not be bad. However, after reaching level 5-1 aperture, it was not guaranteed that he could enter the Big Three. If he wanted to enter the Big Three, he had to participate in the Chuming trial. Only the top 3,000 could enter the Big Three. That was because each school only had 1,000 freshman spots. Any graduate who reached level 5-1 aperture was a genius. The competition for these 3,000 spots would be very intense. Even Mo Xiaobai felt a lot of pressure. Ning Ran's face was resolute. I think Big Bro Xiaobai will definitely be fine. As he spoke, he thought of something and said, "Oh right, this is for you." He took out a jade pendant from his interspatial ring and handed it to Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai took the jade pendant doubtfully and looked at it. The jade pendant was green in color, and there was a beautiful bird engraved on it. What is this? Ning Ran scratched his head and grinned. This is the blue bird jade pendant. I went to the temple 2 days ago to ask for it for you. It is said that if you wear it, your dreams will come true. Unfortunately, I don't have much pocket money. Otherwise, I could ask for a better one. Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai's heart warmed. He reached out and rubbed Ning Ran's head. He smiled and said, "This is already very good. I like it very much. Thank you, little Ran." Hearing that Mo Xiaobai liked it, Ning Ran's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "Then Big Bro Xiaobai, you have to work hard. We promised that after I get into the Big Three, I will need your protection." Mo Xiaobai smiled. "No problem." At this moment, Ning Feng's voice came from afar. "Little Ran, let's go back." "Coming." Ning Ran replied, then waved at Mo Xiaobai with a smile. "Big Bro Xiaobai, I'll go back first." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Be careful on the road." "Got it." Ning Ran got up and ran towards Ning Feng. Under the gradually darkening night, Ning Feng rubbed Ning Ran's head. "Kid, you've been working hard recently. Are you tired? It's okay. I promised Big Bro Xiaobai that I would get into the Big Three." "Ha, then you have to work hard. Dad will go back and make your favorite braised beef." "Wow. It's true. Dad is the best." The two of them held hands and disappeared into the dark blue night. Mo Xiaobai smiled and shook his head. He looked at the jade pendant and put it into his spatial ring. After that, Mo Xiaobai returned home. The college entrance exam was tomorrow. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu didn't say much to Xiaobai to prevent him from feeling pressured. Mo Xiaobai didn't feel much pressure. He had already given his all, and his cultivation had already reached level 5-1 aperture. He was very confident now. After dinner and playing with Little Red, Mo Xiaobai went back to his room to rest. It was a quiet night. The next morning, when the sun shone into Mo Xiaobai's room, Mo Xiaobai opened his eyes. He sat up and looked out of the window. The sky was clear and blue like crystal. The weather was good. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. After stretching his body, he began his daily cultivation. After an hour, Mo Xiaobai finished his cultivation and walked out of his room. When he came to the living room, he found it quiet. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were frowning and looking at the newspaper in Mo Yu's hand. Mo Xiaobai looked at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu in confusion. "What's wrong?" Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu's bodies shook when they heard Mo Xiaobai's voice, and they recovered from their shock. They looked at each other with complicated expressions. Then, Mo Yu passed the newspaper to Mo Xiaobai. "Take a look." Mo Xiaobai took the newspaper in confusion. "What's wrong?" As he muttered, he lowered his head to read the newspaper. However, when Mo Xiaobai saw Ning Ran's tightly shut eyes and pale face on the front page of the newspaper, he was stunned. "Murder case reappears, another victim appears." Boom! Mo Xiaobai's mind went blank. How is this possible? Mo Xiaobai had a glimmer of hope. He lowered his head and quickly read the content of the report. Tingyun District. Last night Ning ran, looking at the shocking words. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes became blurry. The veins on his hands were bulging and the newspaper in his hands trembled. There's no one at home, wow. Xiao Bai bro, you're so awesome. I have to work harder and get into the big three. My dad will be very happy then. With Xiao Bai bro's ability, you can definitely get into the big three. I think Xiao Bai bro will have no problem. This is the green bird jade pendant. I went to the temple 2 days ago to ask for it. It's said that if you wear it, your dreams will come true. It's a pity that I only have this much pocket money. Otherwise, I could ask for something better. We promise that after I get into the big three, I'll need you to protect me. Ning Rant's image appeared in his mind. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes became blurry. His throat was itchy and his chest was heavy. Wasn't the shadow demon hound dead? Why was there still a murder case? Why did it have to be Xiao Ran? Mo Xiao Bai felt his stomach twitch. It was as if his organs were being dug out. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Mo Yu went forward and patted Mo Xiao Bai's shoulder. Mu Yuzhu hugged Mo Xiao Bai. The atmosphere was silent. Mo Xiao Bai slowly opened his eyes and said, "Can we go and see Xiao Ran now?" Mo Yu shook his head, "Not now. The people from Azure Edge have already taken over." He was silent for a while and said, "Let's send him off in a few days." Mu Yuzhu nodded. "Your dad is right. Today is the college entrance exam. Don't let it affect you." Mo Xiao Bai was silent for a long time. Then, he nodded. His eyes flashed with determination. "Okay, let's go." He had to get into the big three. Although Xiao Ran was no longer here, he didn't want to go against his last promise. P.S. Thank you Feiyue and Ma Xin, Xiao Xiangli, Pei Pei for not being home today. Love Yaya, for bringing your wife online. Thank you big brother. Chapter 38. The process of the college entrance exam was not complicated. The morning was the cultural exam, and the afternoon was the cultivation test. After passing both the cultural exam and the test, one could go to most of the force academies. However, the top 100 academies were different. After passing both the cultivation test and the cultural exam, one still needed to participate in a trial organized by the school. Only by passing the trial could one be considered to have entered the school. The first Cries trial was the most famous trial. Mo Xiao Bai's cultural exam venue was at Moonlight Middle School. Soon Mo Yu, Mu Yuzhu, and Mo Xiao Bai arrived at the school gate. There was a sea of people at the school gate. On such an important day, many parents chose to accompany the candidate. Many parents were encouraging their children, hoping that they could get good grade. Mo Yu patted Mo Xiao Bai's shoulder and said softly, "Don't think too much. Finish the exam first. I'm sure little Ran doesn't want you to fail because of her." Mo Xiao Bai nodded slightly. "Don't worry, Dad. I know what I'm doing." On the way, Mo Xiao Bai's mood was much calmer than before, and he thought a lot. Little Rant's death was the same as the previous victim. If he didn't know that the murderer of the previous murder was a shadow demon hound, a demon, Mo Xiao Bai might not have thought too much about it. But now, after the first shadow demon hound died, another one appeared. The appearance of two evil demons was too abnormal. There was probably someone else behind the scenes. Another demon? Or someone from the Void God cult? Or was it another Cthulhuism sect? Mo Xiao Bai wasn't sure, but he would do his best to find the murderer and avenge Little Ran. He didn't think too much about it. He smiled at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu, telling them not to worry, and then entered the school. Mo Xiao Bai had already familiarized himself with the exam venue a few days ago. It was the second grade building. Mo Xiao Bai quickly arrived in front of the exam venue. There were 2 staff members in white uniforms at the entrance. Mo Xiao Bai walked over and handed his exam ticket to them. After they checked that there were no mistakes, he entered the exam venue. Mo Xiaobai's cultural exam results were quite good. Although the exam was a bit difficult, it was still acceptable for Mo Xiaobai. He answered the questions smoothly, and the morning passed quickly in the exam. As soon as the last exam ended and the invigilator left, the examination hall became chaotic. Some were happy, some were sad. Mo Xiaobai heard the sobbing of a delicate-looking rabbit girl beside him. She was sobbing so hard that her heart was broken. Obviously, his results were not ideal. He got up and left the examination hall. Along the way, he heard many examinees discussing the exam questions in 2s and 3s. You have to choose the first choice. If not, I'll eat noodles with my nose. It's the super spicy kind. Then you're definitely eating your noodles. I'll mix the chili sauce for you. I'll mix it. That's the second choice. Have you guys solved the mechanical power theory question on the basis of origin force machinery? I can't even King understand. Did you understand? I did it. It's that simple. Bastard. Go to hell. Mo Xiaobai was walking when Meng Yu came out from behind him. He smiled and said, Xiaobai, how was the exam? It was okay. Meng Yu looked at Mo Xiaobai in confusion. Why do I feel like you don't look so good? Mo Xiaobai paused. He then smiled and said, It's nothing. Meng Yu didn't mind. He said proudly, I finally became a martial fundamentalist 2 days ago. I'll definitely be in the top 100. I plan to go to Moon Creek Academy. It's close to home. Meng Yu also plans to go there. Xiaobai, what about you? Do you want to come with us? Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, Me? I'm going to go to Akatsuki Academy. Meng Yu's body trembled as he stood rooted to the ground, watching Mo Xiaobai leave with a dumbfounded expression. Akatsuki Force Academy in the Beijing region, one of the 3 famous schools. Mo Xiaobai was going to go to Akatsuki Academy? Outside the school gate, parents were eagerly waiting for their children to come out. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were among them. When they saw Mo Xiaobai come out, their eyes lit up and they went up to him. Mo Yu asked, How was it? Mo Xiaobai nodded, Not bad. Mu Yuzhu was relieved. She smiled and said, Let's go get something to eat first. We'll go to the central training ground in the afternoon. Okay. Mu Yuzhu didn't go back to cook. The 3 of them found a restaurant to eat and then went to the central training ground. The central training ground was very close to the Adventurers Guild. It was a huge training ground. There were even gambling and beast fighting arenas inside. It was said that it could accommodate close to 500,000 people. All the examinees in Pingxi town were tested for their force cultivation here. When Mo Xiaobai, Mo Yu, and Mu Yuzhu arrived, there were already many people there. Not only were there examinees and their parents, but there were also many onlookers and even the media. After all, the annual college entrance exam was a hot topic. There was a team of staff from the Ministry of Education guarding the entrance of the training ground. There were even Azure Edge guards in their blue and white uniforms. Mo Xiaobai saw Wu Liang and the others. They looked a little tired, probably because of another murder case. Wu Liang and the others also saw Mo Xiaobai. Their eyes lit up. Lin Xianxian even waved at Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai nodded at the few of them. Mo Yu said, Let's go in. Mo Xiaobai nodded and passed his admission ticket to the staff to check. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he entered the training ground. The training ground was an extremely spacious hall. There were already many examinees inside. As soon as Mo Xiaobai entered, the staff standing at the entrance walked over. Hello, student. Let me see your admission ticket. Mo Xiaobai was stunned, then handed his admission ticket over. He glanced at the admission ticket and returned it to Mo Xiaobai. At the same time, he smiled and said, Mo Xiaobai, your assessment area is in District 1 East. The assessment will start at 1:30 p.m. according to your admission ticket number. You can wait in District 1 East. He pointed to an area with rows of seats in the distance. There were already a few students sitting there. Emo Xiaobai nodded and smiled. "Thank you, teacher." He took the admission ticket and went to District 1 East. He found a random seat and sat down. As soon as he sat down, he saw a familiar person not far away. It was a handsome night creature youth. He sat there with a few people who seemed to be his friends sitting around him and chatting. He raised his head slightly and nodded from time to time. Then, he seemed to sense something and turned his head to look in Emo Xiaobai's direction. After glancing at Emo Xiaobai, he turned his head away as if he did not care about Emo Xiaobai at all. It was him. His name was Li Yushu? His eyes were still on top of his head. Emo Xiaobai did not expect him to be in District 1 East. However, the encounter this time, Emo Xiaobai's mentality was already completely different. He also looked away and no longer paid attention to this night creature youth. Chapter 39. The waiting time was long and torturous. One by one, the examinees entered the training field. The environment became a little noisy. Emo Xiaobai only had a few students from the same school in East 1, but he didn't know any of them. He could only sit quietly by himself and wait for the examination to begin. When it was 1:20 p.m., a few people went up to the stage at the innermost part of the hall. Emo Xiaobai took a glance and realized that the mayor of Pingxi Town, the head of the Ministry of Education, the vice head of the Ministry of Education, and a few other officials from Pingxi Town were among them. He even saw Bu Bai, whom he recognized. Behind them were the principals of various secondary schools, including the principal of Moonlight Secondary School. He was a chubby old elf with a beer belly and white hair. He always had a kind smile on his face. The senior management of Pingxi Town came to the stage and sat on the chairs that were set up beforehand. His gaze swept across the many examinees below the stage as he spoke softly. At the front of the waiting area, a staff member moved a black metal table over. There was a transparent crystal pillar on top of the metal table. Emo Xiaobai looked at the other areas. It wasn't just in East 1. It was the same in front of every waiting area. Obviously, this transparent crystal pillar was the tool they used to examine the examinees' cultivation. After the metal table and the transparent crystal pillar were set up, 2 staff members from the Ministry of Education stood behind the crystal pillar. In East 1, there was a tall elf lady with short black hair and a sturdy barbarian man. The 2 of them stood behind the table and waited. Their gazes swept across the examinees in the waiting area from time to time. Soon, it was 1:30 p.m. On the stage, the head of the Ministry of Education stood up. He was a middle-aged human man with a pair of rimless glasses and a head of neatly combed black hair. He looked gentle and refined. He cleared his throat and said, "The examination begins." Although the head of the Ministry of Education's voice wasn't loud, it clearly traveled into everyone's ears. Upon hearing the head of the Ministry of Education's words, the staff members of the Ministry of Education immediately busied themselves. Emo Xiaobai heard the barbarian man behind the transparent crystal pillar start to read out the examination ticket number. 1128172221. Student Wei Jun, come up for the examination. When an examinee with a face full of freckles heard this, he hurriedly stood up from his chair and walked over to the long table with a nervous expression. Place your hand on the test column. Under the barbarian's guidance, Wei Jun placed his hand on the transparent crystal pillar. Because he was too nervous, his hand trembled slightly. Suddenly, the crystal pillar emitted a gentle white light that slowly rose from the bottom. After a while, the crystal pillar stopped changing, and the white light filled up about 2/3 of the crystal pillar. The barbarian man glanced at him and said, "7th layer of body refining tier." The black-haired female elf lowered her head and recorded it down. The barbarian man smiled and said, "It's done. Go back to your seat and wait." Wei Jun nodded and trotted back to his seat with his head lowered. The barbarian continued to call the next examinee onto the stage. The process was simple. Mo Xiaobai looked at it briefly, then lowered his head to look at his admission ticket number. 1128175568. He grinned. There were still more than 300 people left. At this rate, he would have to wait for 3 to 4 hours. The examination proceeded in an orderly manner. On the high platform, the Pingxi town mayor, who had a head of short brown hair, a high hairline, and a slightly thin face, looked at the examination that was proceeding in an orderly manner. He squinted his eyes and smiled. I wonder how Pingxi town's results are this time? The head of education said in a serious manner, in recent years, we have increased the investment of resources in education. Our results have been improving every year, and we can be considered to have seen some initial result. I believe this time will be no exception. The Pingxi town mayor laughed. Old Lu, the head of education, has also worked hard in recent years. Head Lu shook his head slightly. This is the responsibility of the head of education. On the side, the vice head of education, a middle-aged night creature woman with wrinkles on her face and sharp eyes, swept her gaze across the audience. I hope this time, we can rank in the top 1,000 in the town-level cities. The Pingxi town mayor nodded. If that's the case, the resources distributed by the higher-ups will be even more next year. Time passed by. More than an hour later. In District 1 East, Mo Xiaobai was quietly waiting for the examination to proceed. More than 100 people had already been examined. Among them, most of them were examinees in the body refinement realm. Only a mermaid girl from Yuxing High School was a Level 1 martial body fundamentalist. When this girl's examination results came out, it caused a commotion in District 1 East. In Pingxi Town, being able to break through to a martial body fundamentalist before the college entrance examinations was already considered quite a genius. At this moment, the barbarian man spoke again. 1128173558, Student Li Yushu, come up for the examination. When he heard Li Yushu's name, Mo Xiaobai, who originally felt a little bored, looked over curiously. Li Yushu stood up from his seat and walked up to the examination pillar with his head held high. The barbarian man glanced at Li Yushu. Before he could speak, Li Yushu smiled proudly and said, "Just put your hand on it, right?" As he spoke, he reached out and placed his hand on the crystal pillar. In an instant, a dazzling white light flashed. The white light in the transparent crystal pillar instantly filled the entire pillar, then the white light formed a white halo. Before the white light disappeared, a second white halo appeared very quickly. After a while, a third somewhat illusory white halo also condensed. The higher-ups sitting on the high platform were initially so bored that they were about to doze off. At this moment, they suddenly sat up straight and widened their eyes to look in the direction of District 1 East. The Pingxi town mayor said excitedly, "Li Yushu, is that the kid from the Li clan?" "I think so. Level 3-1 aperture. This kid is really something." Even the usually serious Lu clan head smiled and nodded in satisfaction. "Not bad indeed. With this cultivation base, as long as he passes the trial, he can enter a prestigious school ranked between 30 and 50. I'm afraid our Pingxi town will really enter the top 1,000 this time." Many of the higher-ups smiled. "Oh right, Principal Yuan, this Li Yushu. He's a student from Shiyang High School, right?" The Pingxi town mayor thought of something and turned his head to look at a skinny old rabbit man with a goatee beside him. Principal Yuan reached out to stroke his goatee. His old face was slightly rosy, and there was a proud smile on his face. "He's indeed a student from our school." Lu clan head smiled. "Looks like Pingxi town's top scorer this time is Shiyang High School again. Principal Yuan, you've done well." "Ha ha ha, Principal Lu, you flatter me." Principal Yuan smiled until the wrinkles on his face were squeezed together. A middle-aged barbarian male principal forced a smile and said, "Looks like I'll have to congratulate you again this time, Principal Yuan." There was a hint of unwillingness in his voice. After all, being the top scorer was a merit of the school. As the principal, he would naturally reward him. This reward had been pocketed by this old man for 5 consecutive years. This year, it would probably be his again. Who could accept this? However, there were no level 3 candidates among their students. No matter how uncomfortable it was, they still had to accept it. Congratulations, congratulations. Remember to treat us to a meal? While many principals were congratulating Principal Yuan, the old elf from Moonlight High School was looking at Emo Xiaobai, who was also in East 1. The smile on his face deepened. He glanced at the smiling Principal Yuan and didn't say anything. Among the higher-ups of Pingxi Town, the Adventurers Guild's manager Bu Bai and another middle-aged elf, wearing a blue uniform with white stripes, looked at Emo Xiaobai, who was sitting in East 1, and then at the high-spirited Principal Yuan. A strange smile also appeared on their faces. It looked like this old man still didn't know that Moonlight High School had produced a freak. He really wanted to know how they would react when Emo Xiaobai, this brat, was tested. The two of them had some wicked thoughts. P.S. Thanks to Feiyue and Ma Xin and Chen Chensi for their tips. Thank you, boss. Chapter 40. The light from Li Yu Shu's examination attracted the attention of everyone in the hall. Not only the barbarian man, the elven woman, and the other examinees in the eastern area, but even the examinees and examiners from the other areas also cast their gazes over. Hiss, when they saw the 3 white halos on Li Yu Shu's light beam, gasps could be heard. The air in the hall seemed to have become thinner. F***CK. He's a big shot. He's already at level 3 with 1 aperture. Is this what a genius is like? This is so unfair. I'm only at level 5 physique tempering. This is terrifying! Exclamations could be heard in the hall. Amidst the exclamations and praises, Li Yu Shu smirked and raised his head. He said proudly, "Is this good enough?" The barbarian and elf finally regained their senses. The barbarian smiled and said, "Student Li Yu Shu, right? Amazing. You should be able to get into a good school. It's done, you can go back and wait." Li Yu Shu nodded slightly and returned to his seat with his head held high and his chest puffed out. After Li Yu Shu's test, the hall became a little chaotic before the test continued. The examinees below the stage still looked at Li Yu Shu from time to time. Many girls' eyes flashed and their faces blushed. They lowered their heads and discussed something. Li Yu Shu's cultivation was too high. From the start of the test until now, there were only 3 body fundamentalists. The highest was level 1, not even a level 2. But Li Yu Shu was already level 3. How could they not be surprised? Time continued to pass. After close to 4 hours, most of the examinees in the hall had finished their tests. There were only about 10 examinees left in each area. At this moment, the barbarian looked at the name list in his hand and said, 1128175568, Emo Xiaobai, come up for your test. Emo Xiaobai, whose name was called, was shocked and stood up from the chair. It was finally his turn. He took a deep breath and walked towards the stage. On the stage, the sleepy Bu Bai, the principal of Moonlight Middle School, and the leader of Azure Edge were all jolted awake when they heard Emo Xiaobai's name. They immediately sat up straight and looked towards East 1. Pingxi Town's mayor, Manor Head Lu, and the others were a little puzzled when they saw how excited they were. The mayor of Pingxi Town smiled and said, "Supervisor Bu, Captain Wang, Principal Lin, what's the matter? Could it be that there was something special about this student called Emo Xiaobai? Why are the 3 of you so concerned?" The others also looked at them curiously. Principal Lin chuckled and said, "This student is the most talented in our school." Bu Bai glanced at the curious crowd with a mysterious smile on his face. "You'll find out soon enough." Beside him, Captain Wang only smiled. "I've only heard some rumors from old Wu." "Rumors? Upon hearing the trio's words, the Pingxi town mayor and the others exchanged glances. They also looked towards East One curiously, wanting to see what kind of rumors could make Bu Bai and Captain Lin so excited. Mo Xiaobai came to the black table. The barbarian man smiled and said, "Student, place your hand on this pillar." Mo Xiaobai nodded and took a deep breath. Then, he placed his hand on the crystal pillar. The surface of the crystal pillar was a little cold. The moment Mo Xiaobai touched it, a dazzling white light flashed. This light was even more dazzling than Li Yushu's light. Instantly, the candidates who had finished their tests and were feeling bored all looked over. On the stage, many of the higher-ups unconsciously sat up straight and looked at Mo Xiaobai. The white light instantly filled the transparent crystal pillar. Then, it shot up into the sky and formed a white light pillar. A white halo condensed and formed. Then, a second halo appeared. After a few breaths, the third halo condensed. After a few more breaths, the fourth halo condensed. Hiss! Everyone looked at the 4 halos on the light pillar in disbelief. Their eyes widened and they stood rooted to the ground. However, the white light did not disappear. Everyone held their breaths and stared at the flashing light pillar, as if they were waiting for something. Even the candidates and staff members who were in the middle of their tests stopped and looked at Mo Xiaobai. Time seemed to have passed in an instant, but it also seemed like a long time had passed. At this moment, the white light flashed and the shadow of a white fledgling soared into the sky. The fledgling twisted its long body, and its 4 claws stepped on the air as it swam around the hall. Then, it raised its head and opened its mouth. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded. After the roar, the fledgling turned into a white light and disappeared from the hall. However, after the fledgling's shadow disappeared, the hall fell into an eerie silence. There was not a single sound in the hall. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone widened their eyes and stared in the direction where the fledgling's shadow disappeared. Their eyes were filled with shock and confusion. Mo Xiaobai looked at the crystal pillar that had returned to its transparent state and then looked in the direction where the fledgling's shadow disappeared. He was also a little surprised. He did not expect that after reaching level 5 with 1 aperture, there would be special effects. It was quite cool. Mo Xiaobai was somewhat satisfied. Then, he recalled Xiao Ran's words and his gaze calmed down. The first step had been taken for the 3 elite schools. Mo Xiaobai shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He turned to look at the stunned crowd and could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Was there a need to be so surprised? He coughed lightly. The dry cough in the silent hall brought everyone back to their senses. Everyone turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. After a moment of silence, the hall erupted in a deafening uproar. Wow! F***CK. The fledgling's shadow. The fledgling's first cry. I did not expect to be in the same examination hall as a genius of this level. When I'm old, I'll definitely tell my grandson. Pingxi Town actually produced a fledgling? Is this for real? This little brother is so handsome! On the high platform, many higher-ups were also staring at Mo Xiaobai with burning gazes. The mayor of Pingxi Town laughed loudly. Ha ha ha! Pingxi Town has struck gold this time. We actually produced a fledgling. Beside him, Prefecture Chief Lu's stern face could not help but reveal a pleasantly surprised smile. This time, we might be able to rank first in a town city. What an honor! Bu Bai, who was standing at the side, slowly retracted his shocked expression and revealed a smile. This kid is really powerful. In just a month's time, Mo Xiaobai had advanced from a martial fundamentalist to level 5 with 1 aperture. One could imagine how brilliant he would be in the future. Captain Wang looked at Mo Xiaobai with disbelief on his face. When he heard Wu Liang talk about Mo Xiaobai, he was only half convinced. Now, he finally saw Mo Xiaobai's talent with his own eyes. What a genius! He could not help but exclaim softly. The smile on Headmaster Lin's chubby face became even wider. He turned to look at Headmaster Yuan, whose eyes were wide open and a little dumbfounded, and said softly, "Old Yuan, thank you for letting me win this time." Headmaster Yuan. He turned to look at Headmaster Lin, not knowing what expression to show. Chapter 41. Outside the training ground, the sun gradually set in the west and the sunlight became gentle. 4 hours had already passed and the test was about to end. Many of the examinees' parents were anxiously waiting for the test to end. Apart from them, the media reporters were also waiting. The cultivation test was the most important part of the college entrance exam. As the media, they naturally wanted to get the news as soon as possible. The number of adventurers watching the show had decreased by a lot. However, there were still many passers-by who looked at the training ground from time to time. At this moment, the crowd outside the training ground vaguely heard a long dragon's roar. Everyone was stunned. "Did you guys hear that? Is it coming from the training ground? What's that sound?" The crowd whispered to each other in confusion. A few of the media reporters looked at each other in bewilderment. "This sound, why does it feel like? It shouldn't be. This isn't one of those big cities." A few of the media reporters conversed and shook their heads. Mou and Mu Yuzhu looked at each other with anticipation and nervousness in their eyes. Mou clenched her fists and said with excitement, "Is it Xiao Bai?" Mu Yuzhu nodded. Her beautiful face was flushed with excitement. "It should be, right?" Outside the door, Wu Liang and the others who were in charge of guarding the training ground looked at each other. Lin Xianxian widened her eyes in disbelief. Could it be Mo Xiaobai? Has he really reached level 5? Wu Liang turned and looked at the door of the training ground. "I'm afraid it's really him. TSK. Doesn't that mean Mo Xiaobai has a chance to get into the Big 3? Sun Wenshan pursed his lips and then laughed. "He, a genius like him even sat in my car before. That's our team's car. You're just a driver at most." Just as the crowd was discussing, noisy and excited screams suddenly rang out in the training ground. The screams seemed to be about to break through the ceiling of the training ground. The sound waves spread out from the training ground and drilled into everyone's ears. From the noisy screams, the crowd could vaguely hear the words about the shadow of a dragon fledgling. Combined with the roar from before, many people's bodies trembled, revealing a look of disbelief. A dragon fledgling appeared in Pingxi town? All the reporters were breathing rapidly. They held their pens and notebooks tightly in their hands and looked at their peers vigilantly. This kind of explosive news must definitely be at the forefront. Mou and Mu Yuzhu looked at each other, their eyes filled with surprise. They were almost certain that it was Mo Xiaobai. In the training grounds, Mo Xiaobai was a little dizzy from the screams of the crowd. He looked warily at the girls who kept approaching him as if they were going to pounce on him and eat him up. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. So exaggerated. At this moment, a dignified voice came from the high platform. "All examinees, please maintain order. Continue the test." At the same time, a powerful aura gushed out from the high platform, causing the examinees to calm down. The male barbarian and female elf in charge of the examination were also trying their best to calm down. The corners of the barbarian man's mouth curled up as he looked at Mo Xiaobai. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Level 5 with 1 aperture. Student Mo Xiaobai, congratulations. I hope you can pass the first cries trial." Mo Xiaobai nodded and said with a smile, "I will pass." The female elf beside him looked at the determined and confident Mo Xiaobai. Her eyes were full of splendor. She only came back to her senses when the barbarian man coughed dryly and lowered her head to record. Mo Xiaobai finished recording and was about to return to his seat when Head Lu on the high platform said, "Student Mo Xiaobai, come here." Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He turned his head to look at the high platform and realized that all the higher-ups were looking at him. He hurriedly walked towards the high platform. After getting on the high platform, Bu Bai immediately went to Emo Xiao Bai and patted him on the shoulder. He grinned. "Xiao Bai, not bad, not bad. You're really amazing. You actually broke through to level 5 with one aperture. You're really something." Emo Xiao Bai almost fell to the ground from the slap. He twitched the corner of his mouth. Supervisor Bu's arm strength was still so strong. He smiled and said, "Supervisor Bu, you're flattering me." At this moment, the Pingxi town mayor affectionately held Emo Xiao Bai's hand and said, "No, no, no, old Bu isn't flattering you. Pingxi town hasn't produced a fledgling for over 100 years. Student Emo Xiao Bai, your talent is indeed outstanding." Head Lu on the side also had a smile on his face. He nodded at Emo Xiao Bai and said, "A hero comes from a young age. Yes, a genius like Emo Xiao Bai will be a pillar of the empire in the future." Each of the higher-ups smiled at Emo Xiao Bai. After all, as long as he was a fledgling, he would definitely be able to enter the top 10 academies. If he passed the first prize trial, he would be able to enter the big 3. As long as he graduated, he would be even stronger than them. Perhaps he wouldn't even need to wait until graduation. Emo Xiao Bai was a little embarrassed by the praise. After all, the cultivation level of these people present was basically not inferior to his parent. Some of them were even stronger. Headmaster Lin on the side had a gentle smile on his face as he said, "Student Xiao Bai, you've won glory for our Moonlight Secondary School this time. I hope you can work hard in the first prize trial. If you get into the big 3, the school will give you even more generous rewards." Upon hearing Headmaster Lin's words, Head Lu also nodded and said, "The same goes for our Ministry of Education. The rewards will be given after you finish the first prize trial." He looked deeply at Emo Xiao Bai and said, "Student Xiao Bai, I sincerely hope that our Pingxi town can produce a student from the big 3. Bu Bai grinned and said, "Xiao Bai, do your best." Emo Xiao Bai nodded and said, "I will do my best." The other higher-ups also nodded at Emo Xiao Bai and encouraged Emo Xiao Bai. If Emo Xiao Bai could get into the big 3, then in the next few years, their Pingxi town's resources would be multiplied by several fold. This was also one of the important reasons why their attitude towards Emo Xiao Bai was so good. Otherwise, no matter how high Emo Xiao Bai's talent was, it would have nothing to do with them. While everyone was talking, the last batch of examinees had finished their examination. The staff of the Ministry of Education put away the table and the examination crystal, then went up to the high platform to report. Head Lu nodded and the higher-ups stopped chatting with Emo Xiao Bai. Emo Xiao Bai's gaze swept across the examinees below the high platform. He realized that almost everyone was looking at him with a complicated gaze. He saw Li Yushu. Li Yushu no longer looked as arrogant as before. Instead, he looked a little absent-minded. When Emo Xiao Bai's gaze met his, he immediately looked away and lowered his head. He also saw Meng Yu and Lin Mingyu. The two of them were standing together and looking up at Emo Xiao Bai. Their eyes were filled with confusion and they looked like they were doubting life. One must know that when the three of them participated in the elite trial a month ago, Emo Xiao Bai was still in the same physique refinement realm as them. In the end, a month later, when they had just broken through to become a martial fundamentalist, this guy had already reached one apertured level 5. The gap was so huge that it made them feel a little dazed. Head Lu's gaze swept across the examinees below the high platform and said, "The examination ends here. All the examinees have worked hard. Now, the college entrance examination is officially over. Everyone can leave in an orderly manner." Whoa! Hearing this, everyone cheered. The college entrance examination was over. What was next was a wonderful university life. It was said that after entering university, one could do many things that they couldn't do before. They could fall in love and go on adventures in the void. Who wouldn't look forward to it? Seeing the examinees leave, the Pingxi town mayor smiled and said, "All right, let's go out too. P.S. Thank you to Machine, book friend 20190-528002138721, and Taoist Xiao Gu on Mount Ba's Night Rain for their tips. Thank you, boss." Chapter 42. Mo Xiaobai followed the Pingxi town's higher-ups out of the cultivation field and was surrounded by a group of reporters. The reporters stared at Mo Xiaobai as if he was some kind of rare animal and kept asking him questions, including his age, cultivation, hobbies, and even feelings. There were all sorts of questions, making him feel a little dizzy. Fortunately, the higher-ups of Pingxi town helped Mo Xiaobai out of the predicament. The reporters only asked questions about his cultivation, and so on. Mo Xiaobai vaguely replied that he had to work hard, and so on before he left. As for how the media would report it, Mo Xiaobai had no idea. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were already waiting for him after he squeezed out of the encirclement. "Good job, son." Mo Yu hugged Mo Xiaobai tightly with a bright smile on his handsome face. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, "I haven't passed the Chumi trials yet." Mu Yuzhu held Mo Xiaobai's hand and said, "Even if you haven't passed, you're already outstanding enough. It's at least one of the top 10 schools." Mo Xiaobai shook his head. "I want to get into the big 3. This was his promise with Xiao Ran. Mu Yuzhu and Mo Yu were stunned when they saw Mo Xiaobai's determined look. Mu Yuzhu then smiled and nodded. "Then all the best. Let's go back first. I'll make you something good to eat today." Mo Xiaobai nodded. Then, he looked around and realized that Wu Yang and the others who were guarding the door were no longer there. Even Captain Lin, who was on the high platform, was no longer there. He originally wanted to ask Captain Lin about the culprit, but he didn't expect them to leave so soon. Mo Xiaobai could only look away and leave with Mu Yuzhu and Mo Yu. Mu Yuzhu made a table full of delicious food for dinner. During dinner, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu kept putting food on Mo Xiaobai's plate. They were overjoyed that their son had become a fledgling. After dinner, Mo Xiaobai moved Little Red, who was lying on his feet, away. He went to take a shower and then returned to his room. Starlight sprinkled into the room. Mo Xiaobai was lying on the bed with his left hand resting on his head. His right hand was holding the youth jade pendant that Xiao Ran had given him. The blue bird jade pendant was covered in a layer of silver under the starlight. Mo Xiaobai looked at the jade pendant and his eyes flashed. After a while, he sighed and put away the jade pendant. The next day, Mo Xiaobai walked out of his room. After washing up, he went to the main hall. In the hall, Mo Yu was sitting on a sofa, holding a translucent crystal in her hand. There were some white words flashing on the crystal. When Mo Xiaobai came over, he raised his head and said, "I just contacted Ning Feng. Tomorrow is Xiao Ran's funeral." Mo Xiaobai was silent for a moment. His stomach twitched uncomfortably again. He nodded. "All right, I understand." At this moment there was a knock on the door. Mo Xiaobai walked over to open the door and saw Master Lu standing outside. When he saw Mo Xiaobai, a gentle smile appeared on his stern face. "Student Mo Xiaobai, good morning." When Mo Xiaobai saw Master Lu, his eyes widened in surprise. "Master Lu?" Then, he hurriedly stepped aside. "Please come in." Master Lu nodded and walked into the house. Mo Yu stood up and welcomed him. "Welcome, Master Lu." Head Lu smiled. "Congratulations, Commander Mo. You have such an outstanding son." "Ha ha, you're too kind. Please have a seat." Although Mo Yu said that she was flattered, she couldn't hide the smile on her face. "Alright, why are you here?" Master Lu sat down on the sofa and said with a smile, "It's like this, the news about the first Cries trial is out." Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai was shocked. His heartbeat quickened as he looked at Master Lu. Mo Yu was also shocked. She asked, "Where is the venue this time?" Master Lu said, Yanggu City's blazing wilderness void domain. Blazing wilderness? Mou frowned. That suffering grade class 1 void domain? Master Lu nodded. Yes, it's there. Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. He was shocked. Suffering grade void domain? Void domains were divided into normal grade, suffering grade, and nightmare grade. It was said that there was an even more terrifying void domain above nightmare grade. The magical beasts and demons inside were all different in strength. Just like the Grey Stone Hills, it was only a normal grade void domain. The strongest magical beast inside was only an elite grade. As for the suffering grade void domain, the magical beasts inside were normal grade, elite grade, and even boss grade. There was even a small chance that Class 2 magical beasts and demons would appear. The danger level was much higher than the normal grade void domain. The first cry's trial was so difficult? Mo Xiaobai felt his scalp go numb. Master Lu nodded slightly. Yes, the suffering grade is quite dangerous. He looked at Mo Xiaobai. How about it? Xiaobai, if you don't want to participate, you can participate in the other trials of the 4th to 10th Academy. Mo Xiaobai shook his head. I want to participate. He had to go to one of the big 3. Moreover, the suffering grade void domain was not necessarily a bad thing. Although the suffering grade void domain was more dangerous, the treasures it produced were naturally more than the normal grade void domain. There was a chance of obtaining rare grade or even rare grade treasures. This was a good thing for Mo Xiaobai. With his Providence line, he would be able to obtain more rewards in the difficult grade void domain. He might even be able to find another void domain treasure? Mo Xiaobai couldn't help but look forward to a rank 1 void domain treasure in the difficult grade void domain. Seeing Mo Xiaobai so resolute, Manor Head Lu nodded in satisfaction. He said with a smile, the first cry trial will begin in a week. I'll take you to Ancient Sun City on an origin car. If you're ready, it's best if you leave today. We can make some preparations after arriving there and familiarize ourselves with the situation. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He then shook his head slightly. I'm sorry, Master Lu. Can we depart tomorrow? I have some matters to attend to. He had to attend Xiao Ran's funeral to send him on his last journey. Upon hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Manor Head Lu pondered for a moment before nodding. No problem. Yanggu City isn't too far from Pingxi Town. We'll be there in 4 days. We can leave tomorrow too. Mo Xiaobai heaved a sigh of relief and said gratefully, Thank you, Master Lu. Master Lu patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder and said very gently, There's no need to thank me. It's what I should do. He then stood up. Then I'll take my leave. The college entrance exam has just ended and there are a lot of matters to attend to. Mo stood up. Aren't you going to have breakfast here before you leave? No. Master Lu smiled and waved his hand. Then I'll send you off. Mo Xiaobai and Mo sent Master Lu off and then returned home. Not long after, Mu Yuzhu came out of the kitchen. It's time for breakfast. After hearing that Mo Xiaobai's trial was in the difficult grade void domain, both Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were worried. Naturally, they reminded Mo Xiaobai again and again. Mo Xiaobai nodded repeatedly as he listened, agreeing one by one. Although he didn't know if he could do it, he still had to agree. As for the specifics, they would talk about it after entering the void domain. With the destiny line, Mo Xiaobai wasn't particularly worried. Instead, he was looking forward to it. Chapter 43. After breakfast, Mo Xiaobai went out. He wanted to find Wu Liang and the others from Azure Edge to ask about the situation of the murder case. He wanted to know if the murderer was another shadow demon hound. He wanted to know if there was an evil sect doing something unspeakable behind the scenes. The headquarters of Azure Edge was very close to the Adventurers Guild. They were on the same street. As Mo Xiaobai walked on the street, passers-by would turn to look at him with curiosity and shock in their eyes. They would then whisper to their companions. There were even some female adventurers who stared at him with sparkling eyes. Mo Xiaobai naturally knew the reason. The news of him becoming a dragon whelp and participating in the first cries trial had already been published in the newspaper this morning. It even took up the entire front page. It could be said that he was now considered a celebrity in Pingxi town. There were even forthright adventurers who cheered him on along the way. In response, Mo Xiaobai could only reply with an awkward but polite smile. Soon, he arrived at the headquarters of Azure Edge. It was a blue 3-story building with white lines on top. There was even a small garden outside the building. It looked a little fresh and did not match the nature of Azure Edge's work. Mo Xiaobai entered the building. There was a hall inside. The hall was paved with brown stone slabs and the floor was shiny. However, it was not very spacious. It was a little shabby compared to the Adventurers Guild. Mo Xiaobai scanned the hall and walked towards the black wooden front desk. Behind the front desk sat a mermaid with freckles and a human girl with a round face. The two of them were looking down at the morning newspaper. It happened to be Mo Xiaobai's page, and they were whispering to each other. "You don't say, this Mo Xiaobai is really handsome. He's my type. If I know him, I'll definitely pursue him. Come on, he's a dragon whelp. Why would he like you?" "That's true. He's so handsome and talented. I heard that he comes from a good family too. One look and you can tell that he's a scumbag. Who knows how many girlfriends he has?" "I agree." Mo Xiaobai was speechless. Seeing the two girls talking about him, Mo Xiaobai felt like his heart had been stabbed a few times. Ahem. He coughed softly. Immediately, the two girls trembled and raised their heads. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, their faces flushed red, as if they were about to emit steam from their eyes. Their expressions were extremely awkward. The slightly round-faced human girl took away the newspaper on the table, and then Mo Xiaobai heard the wail of the newspaper being twisted into a ball under the table. The mermaid girl smiled as if she didn't recognize Mo Xiaobai. "Sir, how can I help you?" Mo Xiaobai didn't mention what happened before. He smiled and said, "Hello, I'm here to look for Captain Wu Liang." Hearing this, the mermaid girl and the human girl were stunned. Then, the human girl said apologetically, "Mo Xiaobai, Azure Edge's combat team isn't here right now." Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He frowned. "Is it because of the murder case?" The human girl nodded. "Yes, Mo Xiaobai." Mo Xiaobai was silent for a while. Then, he nodded. "Thank you, I'm fine." He turned and walked out of the door. He took a deep breath. It seemed like the situation this time was more serious than he thought. The Azure Edge in a small town obviously didn't only have one combat team. He didn't expect all of them to be mobilized. After Mo Xiaobai walked out of the door, the two girls at the front desk looked at each other. The mermaid girl was speechless. "Xiao Feng, what's wrong with you? Can't you just pretend that you don't know Mo Xiaobai? Isn't it awkward now?" The round-faced human girl had a look of realization. Her eyes widened. "Ah, right, I forgot. Oh no, he must have heard us talking just now. But I didn't expect Mo Xiaobai to be so handsome. He's even more handsome than in the photos." He agreed. Since he couldn't find Wu Liang to understand the situation, Mo Xiaobai could only go home and prepare for the Chumi trial. A day passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. The sun rose from the horizon and the sky gradually brightened. In the cemetery in the eastern suburbs of Pingxi town, the pine and cypress trees in the cemetery were tall and green. There were still morning dew on the pine needles. The tombstones and pine trees cast shadows together under the morning light. The entire cemetery seemed quiet and gentle. Mo Xiaobai, Mo Yu, and Mu Yuzhu walked on the clean limestone path. Soon, they arrived in front of a newly erected tombstone. Apart from them, there was another person standing in front of the tombstone. Ning Feng's body was no longer as tall and strong as it used to be. Instead, it was slightly hunched. His white rabbit ears, which were originally erect, were now lying on both sides of his head. Mo Xiaobai turned to look at the white jade tombstone. Ning Ran's photo was on the tombstone. In the photo, Ning Ran was grinning. He looked a little silly. Below the photo were the words, "Beloved, Ning Ran's grave." Mo Xiaobai suddenly felt his eyes sting. He squinted his eyes slightly. He exhaled and gently placed the bouquet in front of the tombstone. Xiao Ran, rest in peace. Sensing Mo Xiaobai's movements, Ning Feng's body moved. He then turned his head. There was no longer a cheerful smile on his face. His gaze was hollow. There were thick dark circles under his eyes. His cheeks were sunken. He looked haggard and haggard. Obviously, Ning Ran's death was a huge blow to Ning Feng. When Ning Feng saw Mo Xiaobai and the other two, the corners of his mouth twitched. He revealed a smile. "You're here." Mo Xiaobai heard Ning Feng's voice. It was a little hoarse and dry. Mo Yu nodded and patted Ning Feng's shoulder. "The dead are gone. My condolences." At this moment, Mo Yu glanced at Ning Feng in surprise. "Your cultivation," Ning Feng revealed a smile that looked more like he was crying. "I didn't break through when Xiao Ran was here. Now that she's gone, I've broken through." Mo Yu and the other two were speechless. Ning Feng had been at the 2-chakra level for almost 10 years. He had just broken through to the 3-chakra level and could give Xiao Ran a better life. He didn't expect Xiao Ran to be gone. This was probably the biggest tragedy. Mo Xiaobai and the other two paid their respects to Ning Ran. Before they left, Ning Feng patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. "Xiaobai, I heard that you're going to participate in the Chuming trial. If Xiao Ran knew, she'd be very happy." Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Uncle Ning, I'll get into the big 3. This is my promise with Xiao Ran." Ning Feng nodded lightly and forced a smile. "Good luck." Mo Xiaobai and the other two left the cemetery. Ning Feng didn't go with them, saying that he wanted to spend more time with Ning Ran. When Mo Xiaobai and the other two returned to the neighborhood, it was almost 10 o'clock. Head Lu was waiting for Mo Xiaobai at the entrance of the neighborhood. When they saw Head Lu, the three walked over. Mo Xiaobai was a little embarrassed. "Head Lu, sorry to keep you waiting." Head Lu smiled. "It's fine. Are you done?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." "Shall we leave now?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. Then, he smiled at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu. "Dad, Mom, I'll be leaving." Mo Yu patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. "Brat, good luck. Do your best for me." Mo Xiaobai grinned. "No problem." Mu Yuzhu hugged Mo Xiaobai. "Be careful in the void. Don't go to dangerous places. Safety first." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Got it, Mom." He patted Lil Red's warm head. "Lil Red, I'm leaving." As he spoke, he waved at Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu and left the neighborhood with Head Lu. P.S. Thank you to Dan Dao Compound Fertilizer, Qian Feng, and Ma Xin, the 45th lot, and Tianxian Su for their rewards. Thank you, Big Brother. P.S. Today is Mother's Day. Remember to send your blessings. If possible, accompany your mother. Chapter 44. The Origin train station was located to the west of Pingxi town. Mo Xiaobai followed Manor Head Lu and soon arrived at the station. The station was a small one-story building. After entering through the main door, there was an underground passage. There were various advertisements hanging on the walls on both sides of the passage. The two of them walked down the stairs. Mo Xiaobai looked around curiously. Manor Head Lu saw this and asked, "Is this the first time Mo Xiaobai has traveled so far?" Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. "Yes, I've heard that the Origin train is underground, but this is the first time I've seen it." Manor Head Lu said, "There are many Origin beasts, demonic beasts, and even some barbaric and uncivilized races on the surface. The tracks of the origin train are built underground for safety reasons. Mo Xiaobai nodded, indicating that he understood. The entire Azure planet was vast. The Azure Empire, which was formed by the 6 races, occupied most of the continent. The remaining corners were either the 3 forbidden areas or other dangerous areas. However, even within the Empire's borders, it was not completely safe. Origin beasts, demonic beasts, barbaric and uncivilized races, and even some demonic forces were always on the move. If the tracks of the origin train were built on the surface, the danger would definitely be much higher. The two of them quickly walked down the stairs and arrived at a large and empty underground hall. The hall was made of a kind of black metal, and it looked a little cold. Perhaps it was because they were underground, but the air was slightly cold. There were people walking in 2s and 3s. The left side was the ticket area, while the right side was the ticket inspection area. They entered the platform through the ticket inspection area. Because the origin train could only move between cities, there were very few people. Manor Head Lu bought 2 tickets to Sun Ancient City from the ticket counter. The departure time was exactly 11 o'clock, so there was only about half an hour left. The two of them hurriedly checked their tickets, then followed the road signs and found their platform in the complicated underground passage. After waiting for a while, a completely black origin train, made of several carriages, drove over from the tracks and stopped in front of the platform. With a whoosh, the door opened. A few people got off the carriage. After they got off, Head Lu pulled Mo Xiaobai and a few others into the carriage. Mansion Head Lu took the ticket and handed it to the staff. Under the guidance of the staff, the two of them arrived at a small room. The walls of the room were white, and there was a soft single bed on the left and right sides of the room. There was also a fixed table placed between the 2 beds, and there was a small door on the left. Mo Xiaobai glanced at it and realized that it was the bathroom. After the staff left, Mansion Head Lu closed the door. Mo Xiaobai said in surprise, "Manor Head Lu, this luxurious sleeper shouldn't be cheap, right? Isn't that too extravagant?" Although Mo Xiaobai had never ridden an origin motorcycle before, he still knew this kind of common knowledge. Master Lu sat on the bed and pushed up his rimless glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. A smile appeared on his serious face. The travel expenses for bringing the fledglings to participate in the Chuming trial will be reimbursed by the Empire. Mo Xiaobai. He nodded and didn't say anything else. The motorcycle started very quickly, and there was only a slight vibration in the cabin. Overall, it was quite stable and quiet. There were no windows in the private room, so they couldn't see what was going on outside. However, even without looking, Mo Xiaobai knew that they were in an underground tunnel, so it must be pitch black outside. They couldn't go anywhere while staying in the private room, so the journey was a bit boring. Fortunately, he brought a few books to read to pass the time. Mansion Head Lu wasn't a talkative person, but the two of them would still talk occasionally. Mo Xiaobai found out that Mansion Head Lu was a local of Pingxi Town. Back then, he was also in the top 100 academies, but it was at the bottom. Even so, he returned to Pingxi Town and settled down for a few years before becoming the mansion head of the Ministry of Education. Mansion Head Lu had a beautiful rabbit-human wife and a son and a daughter. When talking about his family, Mansion Head Lu's serious expression seemed to melt like ice and snow. There was a hint of happiness and gentleness in his smile, and he even talked more. He was always talking about how mischievous his son was, how adorable his daughter was, and how gentle and virtuous his wife was. It was obvious that he was very satisfied with his current life and was also very happy. Mo Xiaobai was also very willing to be a good listener and listen to Mansion Head Lu talk about his happy life. 4 days passed in a hurry. When the origin motorcycle stopped at the station again, Mansion Head Lu stood up, picked up the brown windbreaker hanging on the wall, and put it on. He smiled and said, "All right, Xiaobai, let's get off." Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. After talking for a few days, The relationship between the two of them had become closer than before. After getting off the motorcycle, Mo Xiaobai realized that there were obviously more pedestrians waiting at the platform than in Pingxi town. Mansion head Lu squeezed through the crowd with Mo Xiaobai, then exited the station through the ticket gate. Mo Xiaobai was a little surprised to see so many pedestrians coming and going in the underground hall. Mansion head Lu said, Yanggu City has about 30 million permanent residents, but there are also quite a lot of outsiders. Due to work and business trips, the number of people at the station is much more than in Pingxi town. Mo Xiaobai nodded in realization. All right, let's go out. The two of them followed the stairs to the surface. As soon as they walked out of the station, Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. As far as the eye could see, there were many tall buildings, wide streets, cars coming and going, giant origin beasts roaring as they ran, and the bustling crowd of pedestrians. There were even giant screens on the tall buildings with advertisements playing on them. It's so lively. Mo Xiaobai felt his heart beating violently in his chest, and a rush of hot blood rushed to his head. Mansion head Lu smiled and said, compared to Pingxi town, it's much more lively. Mo Xiaobai nodded his head in agreement. Let's go to the hotel booked by the officials first. The young dragons and phoenixes of the empire are all gathered there. Mansion head Lu hailed a taxi and got on with Mo Xiaobai. The driver was a barbarian with short, messy black hair. Mansion head Lu said, Sir, please take us to Sichuan Hotel. Sichuan Hotel? The barbarian driver was stunned. He turned his head to look at Mansion head Lu and Mo Xiaobai, and finally stared at Mo Xiaobai with wide eyes. Then, he grinned and said enthusiastically, Are you here to participate in the first cries trial? Mo Xiaobai was stunned, then nodded, yes. Ha ha ha, welcome, welcome. It's been a long time since the first cries trial has been held in Yanggu City. Sichuan Hotel, right? Come on up. Young man, you're really talented. Young dragon, TSK, who knows, you might even make it to the big three. When that time comes, you'll be so impressive. Mo Xiaobai smiled a little embarrassedly. You're too kind, sir. Right, young man, do you have a girlfriend? My daughter is really pretty. Mo Xiaobai. He glanced at the burly and slovenly barbarian driver, and the corners of his mouth twitched into a polite smile. I already have a girlfriend. Beside him, Mansion head Lu's face twitched violently, and his shoulders trembled violently. He clearly remembered that Mo Xiaobai did not have a girlfriend. That's too bad. The barbarian driver sighed a little regretfully. After being slightly disappointed, the barbarian driver once again enthusiastically chatted with Mo Xiaobai. Soon, the car stopped in front of a tall building. The barbarian driver grinned. We've arrived at Sichuan Hotel. Both of you may alight. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.